Right. I mean, all right. Okay, excellent. Excellent. Let's watch the quick switch. Bam. Look at that. All right. Black Band Broadcast Show 76. Yes, it is. Show 76. Isn't that great? Right. So I'm your host, Rap Raven. And we got a great show for you today. Let's say good evening to everyone. Waha. Hey, who? Big up. Now, let's go through the normal intro. We should be having a special guest this week. Hopefully they'll jump on. If not, we'll carry on. But it is what it is. Let's see what we have to do. So where is that fantastic PDF that I can't seem to find? There we go. Here it is, right here. Voila! Put it on this side. All right. So let's go for the normal intro that we have to do. After much research, I've unfortunately concluded that currently black people are collectively inadequate. Tongue twister there. All right. All right, excellent. So we can see if we can do something about that. But obviously, we're going to send that link today so people can jump in. This is a community-based show. So when we do that, we want to make sure we uphold the 4D values. So what are they? I hear you say, well, here what they are: discipline, dedication, dignity, and discernment. This is what we're going to try to practice when we talk to black people, when we try to find solutions. All right, and obviously, if we cannot use any derogative language, that'd be very good. Let's use descriptive languages. That tends to help black people communicate much better, in my opinion. But maybe you disagree. Who knows? All right, cool. So, what is Black Betterment? Black Betterment is black people helping black people on black issues for betterment. That's what it is. Voila, that's what it is. All right. So that means Black Betterment is a lifestyle. So this show is about promoting the lifestyle of Black Betterment, which is black people helping black people on black issues. Yeah, for betterment. So it's a lifestyle we're promoting here, and hopefully you guys can promote it too, because hopefully if we all practice a black betterment lifestyle, that will improve the collective reality of black people. That would be nice, wouldn't it? Very nice. That's what we want at the end of the day. Something decent. All right, cool, cool, cool. So, copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976. Allowance is made for fair use purpose, such as criticism, comments, news reports, scholarship, and research. Fair use is used permitted by the copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Non-profit, educational, or personal use in tips of the balance of favor for fair use. That means we're going to be playing some videos today potentially, and it's not our videos, but we're using it for journalism reasons and research and all that kind of good stuff. Just so that is, just so you know. All right, so got two topics this week. Don't know which one to start on. If we have a guest, that we would start on what can look at that do that. It says what can black do, and people's missing. Oh, there. That's going to bug me all day now if I don't update this. That's actually going to bug me all day. So oh no, family, you're gonna have to bear with me because working in graphics, literally, like you lose your job if you do things like that. You literally like you lose your job completely. Like you go, they fire you. Like I should know. I should know. So we're gonna see if I can update that with the killer speed of a millipede. So count me in. Let's see if I can quickly update that missing word people in the intro if I can find it. There we go. Here we go. Here we go. And you know the ones where you try to actually do something, that's when your machine starts slowing down. Have you had them ones before? You try to fix something and then the machine starts going slower than normal, and you think, oh, whatever. Anyway, but what we was going to say is, what can black people do? Oh, it's going back to front. What can black do people? Look at that. What can black do people? Learn by studying the current Russian and Ukrainian crisis. All right, so that will be the first topic. Let me see if I can change it now as we speak. But the second one, which we might not get time to go into, but then again we might. Let me put it on a different one just so it's not stuck on that funny business. Let's go here. Let's look at the background last. There you go. So yeah, the second one we're dealing with is narcissism, but as it pertains to people who don't like black people. So what we're going to be trying, if we get time, that is, if we get any time, we're going to find out. Like there are certain traits that narcissists do, and we're going to see, has that happened to you when you are confronted by anti-black racists? All right, so I'm going to press save. Let's see if I can quickly save as and update this. So let's try this. Where's the export? There we go. Export. Look at this. Super killer speed of a millipede. Save there. Oh wow. Oh wow. Literally in 14 seconds, we're going to press refresh, and it's going to be the best. So let's see if we can fix that. Sorry, family. I've been doing 7 jobs today, so it's what happens. It's what happens. All right, so now if I close this one down, da press close on that. Uh, let's okay. Let's. 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 Let me disconnect completely from this. Hold on. Wait. Here it is. Sorry about this, family. We're gonna quit. What we're gonna do? While we do that, we're gonna listen to a video. I'm gonna pause it for a bit. This is so basically when we're talking about the Russian crisis, we're gonna see what can we learn from it. So just gonna play this intro of what's going on in Ukraine, and I'll stop it for a bit and start talking to you. Let's go. Boom.
Go to war with Ukraine.
Rewind.
Will Russia go to war with Ukraine? All week, you've heard numerous answers to this question. In Ukraine, 71% of the people believe their country is already at war with Russia. This is a complex crisis, and all the answers are hidden in history. Did you know there was a time when Kiev was more powerful than Moscow? There was also a time when Ukraine and America were adversaries. Tonight, we'll bring you all these stories. We will tell you why Russian President Vladimir Putin is obsessed with Ukraine. I'm Palki Sharma Upadhyay, and this is Gravitas Plus. We begin in the 9th century. There was a state called Kievan Rus. This is where it was located. The Slavic people lived here. The city of Kiev was their capital. Between 980 and 1015, the Kievan Rus was ruled by Grand Prince Volodymyr. In Russian, his name is Vladimir. In Ukrainian, Volodymyr. And as fate would have it, these are also the names of the presidents of these two countries today. Anyway, Russians, Ukrainians, and Belarusians draw their lineage from this Slavic state. A lot changed in the centuries that followed, and for a lot of it, Ukraine was under Russian rule. In the 1900s, the two were Soviet republics. Russia, the most powerful of the 15 republics, and Ukraine, the second most powerful. It had defense industries, large agricultural lands, and housed much of the Soviet nuclear arsenal. During the Cold War, Ukraine was the arch rival of the United States. The Soviet Union collapsed in 1991. Ukraine became independent, as did Russia. Ukraine inherited much of Soviet nuclear arsenal, but gave it up to Russia in 1994. In exchange, Moscow guaranteed Ukraine's security and promised to respect its sovereignty. They signed the Budapest Memorandum along with these countries. Cut to November.
Hope you're following. Big up Empress Kushti. She might be joining us today to give her perspective.
November 2013, Viktor Yanukovych was the president of Ukraine. He had a reputation for heavy-handedness, corruption, and above all, for being openly pro-Moscow. In 2013, he rejected an EU trade deal. This deal could have meant greater integration with the European Union. Instead, Yanukovych decided to take a $15 billion bailout from Russia. To many Ukrainians, it felt like being sold to Moscow. So protests broke out. They were called Euromaidan. Euro because these protests were about Europe, and Maidan because they happened in Kiev's Maidan. What we today know as the...
Welcome, Empress Kushti. I'm going to play this video. You can stop it anytime you like. I'm just going to play it just to keep people up to speed of what's happening, and we're going to see if we can study to see if there's any kind of thing we can learn from it as it pertains to black betterment and black people.
Brilliant. And bless up, brother. Bless up the chat as well.
There you go.
Independence Square. Here, protesters chanted, "Sign the EU deal. Yanukovych must step down." Russia supported the president. The West supported the protesters. In February 2014, Yanukovych's government was toppled. The president was driven out of Ukraine. He fled to Russia. Not every Ukrainian was happy with this. Many in the Russian-speaking East wanted Yanukovych to stay. When he was driven out, the minority felt disenfranchised. On the other side of the border, Russia was angry it had lost its puppet. To salvage the situation, Moscow annexed Crimea. Why Crimea? Well, let's now zoom into this part of the world. Crimea is a peninsula. It is located in the Black Sea. In 1954, Soviet leader Nikita Khrushchev transferred Crimea. It was given to the Ukrainian Soviet Socialist Republic from the Russian Soviet Socialist Republic. Why? Khrushchev hoped the transfer would strengthen, quote-unquote, brotherly ties between the Ukrainian and Russian people. Both Russia and Crimea were part of the Soviet Union. So this transfer did not mean very much. When Ukraine became independent in 1991, Crimea joined it. The peninsula was given special autonomy. It remained home to Russian military bases. Moscow promised to respect Crimean autonomy. Many in Russia were of the opinion that Crimea should not have been allowed to join Ukraine. In 2014, when Yanukovych was ousted from power in Ukraine, Russian military began seizing government buildings in Crimea. Soon the entire peninsula was under military occupation.
All right, cool.
A referendum followed. On the 16th of...
Cool. So that's it goes on. We can skip ahead, but we can listen. But Empress Christie, have you been following the current crisis at all?
Yeah. So I have, but as a layman, so I wouldn't claim to say that I'm like studied in politics or anything like that. But I have been kind of watching it as I think that a lot of black people, especially black people in betterment, should.
There you go.
And I know a lot of people would ask why, or, I've even seen some people have said that, it's not really a black issue. But I feel that as soon as I see this, I hear the arguments of, excuse me, sorry, I sneezed.
You're
I
welcome.
hear an argument of, we're always doing infighting. That's the problem with Africa or the Caribbean or us as black people. We can't get nothing together. When you look around, everyone else can get it together. Well, this is a prime example that that's not the case. And this is a prime example that you don't have to like your neighbor in order to be in a group of successful people like the EU, currently. So I think that there is so much to say on this, and for people, black people, to really open their eyes of this superior mentality that they've all got it together, or if us just being a bit more polite or a bit more understanding or forgiving a bit more, that would have any bearing on anything. I think that we've already are that, but even if we were to do it even more at our detriment, in my opinion, I don't think that is what's going to move us forward. And we can see that now. The reason why I think Russia is interesting is because it is its own island and it's one man. Now, I'm not looking at this with feelings, right? Brother Raven should be very proud of me because I feel like I've gotten really far. I'm not looking at this in feelings, right? So I'm just looking at this as a case study. I'm not here to debate if what he's doing right is right or wrong, or morally right or wrong, or the killings and everything else. I just want to make that very clear. We're not doing that here. I'm just looking at this as a case study. And this one island is deciding that although they are with the EU, that they wanted to do something which was invade another sovereign country, and it doesn't care what its counterpart says. Now, the people that are saying not to do it are big hitters in the game, and they say not to do it, but he doesn't care and he's doing it anyway. And I feel that the message that he sent, I don't know if you were able to blackify the message that he sent. I think this was yesterday.
Oh, I didn't know. I didn't get time to do that one. No.
Okay. This is not verbatim, but he effectively said that do not interfere what I'm doing.
Yes.
And should you interfere in what I'm doing, you are gonna face consequences that you have never seen in your history.
Yes.
Now, to say, sorry, brother.
Yeah, I remember that. That's a very powerful quote there. Yes.
It is. It's almost a threat.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Of course.
So you're one person on one bit of land, although it's a vast land when you look at it on a map. And you've just said those threats to some of the heaviest hitters going. And I think that is very interesting, right? Because if we look at it in the black betterment aspect, and people always saying, you can't just turn around and we don't know where this is going to go. And I'm not saying that we should go down this route that this man is doing. Right. But I'm just saying that the way that people just think that it cannot be done, and or the notion that to even think of it is crazy, and it's typical of us to think that it's a radical thought when this is kind of something that most nations want. The reasons for him going into what he's going into are definitely personal reasons or selfish reasons for himself. But I'm just saying that we need to look at this open-mindedly and really look at what is going on and really take down this kind of this thought of that they're so great when they're really not. And they go through the same problems, and all this infighting and tribal talk that we put on ourselves is currently what we're currently seeing now, because in the history that Brother Raven just showed, they're effectively brothers, right? Because I don't know if we got to that point, but they say that like in Ukraine, 1 in every 3 is Russian. Right, so their mix and their history is very crossover. Even the civilians say that, you know, Ukraine is classed as brothers, and Ukraine say that about the Russians. The actual civilians on land say that, and they're against this. Apparently, that's what we're getting told. So all those aspects, bro, I think, again, as Black Betterment and looking at things with the politics, we need to really assess what's going on here. I think we don't necessarily have to be emotionally involved in it. You know, It's got nothing to do with us, but we don't see many of Black people taking interest of world politics. World politics will affect us in our nations regardless. For example, what is happening here is that the reason why Russia can do this effectively, and so when you get that threat, you'd think that they would reply in force, right? So imagine if some president in Zimbabwe did that, or president, you know what I mean? Like they'd already been dethroned or whatever, and a coup would have happened, and rebels would have come in, and the whole scenario would have played out again that we've seen a million times. You know, swiftly he would have got rid of. But I feel that the response was fascinating. They took so long. They've only just done it now, after he's already put tanks on land and invaded the country. They're now talking about sanctions. They've only just sorted out the sanctions, which is, with Africa, that's probably a constant threat with these leaders, correct? That's the first stance. Not waiting for us to invade a country to then give sanctions.
No. Well, right? Right, you see, it's the might makes right kind of thing that Europe seems to understand, and I think it's interesting. It's it's interesting to see that, to be honest.
And also the way that the response was, it was more like, okay, they didn't do the sanctions, but also the fact that when they were publicly speaking, they were trying to appeal to his better nature. There wasn't a really tough stance on it. And even the leader of the EU, he said something like, for the love of humanity, please. It was almost like he was begging.
Yeah.
So that's fascinating on its own. Now, why, what's the difference there? What is the difference between, in Africa, if a leader did that, to what we're witnessing now? Then I started looking into more stuff in regards to 70% of our gas and electricity is from Russia.
Very true.
And right now we are definitely dealing with a crisis on fuel and prices, and people picking between eating or being hot or being warm. And then I noticed that they had a large influx of oil, which I was quite surprised, because I always see Europe as such a barren land. And then I realized that there is a great source of, I think, minerals, oils. I think somewhere that I heard diamonds, but I haven't properly researched that yet, in Ukraine.
Right.
And, Crimea.
Yes.
Okay. So we see the motive now of Putin. We know, because I always say it goes down to finance.
Yeah. Well,
and sorry, brother.
It usually does.
And I think that we're seeing that motive now. So now we can really see the real motive why he's doing that, and the reason why this softy approach is happening towards Russia, because at any given time they can, create big problems in regards to fuel. But not only that, Russia has oil. Another thing we rely on them with. Things that actually help function this country, that is a necessity for this country. So that's another reason why. Now, what other continent has resources? Africa. But yet we don't have that same, what's the word I'm looking for, bro? Like, another country, Africa has much more resources than Russia.
Yes.
But we do not see that same approach going towards the leaders or the politics.
No.
Right? So we're seeing a difference there, family. And this is why I say it comes back to us all the time, right? I've just said that, okay, they supply fuel and they supply oil. Africa supplies basically everything. You know, there's one country in Africa that helps us all use our phones that we're using at this moment.
Yeah.
But there's a serious difference of the treatment that we're receiving here.
Of course.
Right. And that's what I want to make clear. And I find that part of it very fascinating, and why Black people should be talking or looking more into this and using this as a way to think about their politics as well. So those aspects there were key aspects for me, bro. What do you think of those points that I've mentioned so far?
I think you've done a great job there. I think you started by saying that you might not be like years and years versed in Russian politics and stuff, but the case study you did there, I think, quite remarkable. Well done on that. And it's something you did talking to that I wanted to research more myself, and that was like obviously sanctions placed on Russia with some of their tech that's coming from England and stuff like that, whatever. They're obviously going to place sanctions back, usually, I assume. And those sanctions is the gas and the oil. And my thing is, where would then the Western world probably have to lean on heavy to get their stuff from? And I do wonder if they might start going to Africa and start trying to take more stuff from there.
Absolutely.
And I did see something about Putin going to Mali for some reason.
Yes.
Just like, and obviously people are saying that Chinese will always have the back of the Russians. So we know China is already getting more integrated in Africa as well as the Caribbean, and Russia is now moving to Mali for some reason. So yeah, interesting. This is it is one to watch. It is one to watch.
Also, about the sanction is that because Russia has a great relationship with China, when they do a sanction, when they've already done, then he can just go and get that from China. Because this is the importance of having good relations, and this is what we was talking about before about going incel and building ourselves up to be a superpower, because that we have the capability of doing that, and understanding that we don't necessarily we don't have to necessarily do business with the people that are currently the people that we deem as power. This whole China is an emerging power. It's already probably there. It's the Great Eight or the G8 is going to look very different in a few years. It's not going to have all these white faces there. So there is a big potential there. And I think the last point one of the last points I want to say is that what was so fascinating is that in 2014, and I do remember this a few years ago, but again, I wasn't really paying attention, that there was this big focus on everybody putting down their nuclear weapons. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And Russia said, bearing in mind as well, as another point here for the family, is that Putin really doesn't want Ukraine to join the NATO. No. Right? They've been blocking that for ages. And it's fascinating because I've been watching, and this is a moving thing. So I would suggest family to pay attention to it. It's very easy to kind of follow as well. It's not that difficult. So it's very interesting because I was trying to find out why does he not want them to do go to NATO, and NATO is basically I forgot what the terminology stands for, so I'm sorry, family, but it's basically an alliance of predominantly Europe countries, and it's an alliance of force. And it was brought about after World War II, and very close to after the Soviet Union, right? So we're going back to Russia, right? So after the Soviet Union collapsed, right? So what I'm kind of saying is that when they were saying that, okay, Ukraine wants to go into NATO, but they blocked now the British are saying that, okay, Ukraine tried to go into NATO and they got rejected, but Ukraine has never tried again. We've always said try again, because obviously there's a set of rules, which you always say about, right? Because other functions doing it just like what you're drawing up now. Again, we can see another version of this, a set of rules, and they did not meet the criteria to join this group, right? So and then Britain said that they never tried again. Now, what Ukraine is saying is that when you're a part of NATO, whoever goes against any members on there, they've got an alliance that they all fight back. That's what NATO basically is. And what he is saying is that they expect us as Ukrainians to fight for them, but they're not here fighting for us right now. So why would of a try. And that's fascinating, right? So although on the surface it's, oh, you know, flags up for Ukraine, poor Ukraine, they're doing all the media work, but there's no lead work. They're saying there that Russia is coming through air, sea, and land. And they said that at least NATO could do is do a no flight zone. They've not even done that. So they're like, although this, oh, poor Ukraine, when we look at it, then they've constantly said they're not going to put arms in. They're not going to come and force-handed. They'll supply arms to people, which are, at this point, they're saying that you've got the Russian army and then Ukraine army. And they're saying that the Ukraine army ain't that great. And I recently heard from one of my friends' parent, and I'm not sure if this is true, so I'm not clarified it as yet, because apparently it just got released today, that no person from Ukraine who's a male between 16 and a certain age can leave.
18 and 60, I believe.
Okay, so that was correct.
Yeah,
right?
that's right. Yes, that's right. And they're giving out guns to civilians.
This is it. That everyone has to fight. And the civilians are saying that they're willing to do it. So where is all of this great force? Where is British? Where's the army? Where's everyone? But in media, you can see a different story. So look deeper into stuff, family. But the last thing I want to say on this is that in 2004, around 2014, there was this big thing about nuclear weapons. And everyone give up your nuclear weapons. Everyone give up your nuclear weapons. It's a big statement. We want peace. We're not doing this in the 22nd century. Give it up. And Ukraine was like hard to give it up. They were like, give it up. And Britain promises you protection, no matter what. Russia said, give it up. I promise you protection. Guess what? Everyone gave up their nuclear weapon except for Russia. So when you look at Russia now, they deal with the fuel. They've already got our fuel, oil, and they've got nuclear weapons. Now, I'm not saying to do this, but when you establish yourself as something that's needed or a want, you see that people come to you differently. And I want to leave it on one of the ambassadors for Ukraine, and he's been knighted, and he was in that position for a very long time, said something to me that will stick with me. He says, even if this got wrapped up tomorrow or next week or next year, they will still be lining up to do business with Ukraine, Russia straight after this.
Yeah.
So all of this being nice and all of that don't matter. As long as you've got the resources and you're in control of it, then you have real agency. You are a sovereign country. And I say that to say, my people, we have that. We need to put strong arm around it. We really need to start focusing on the politics and start playing the game correctly and focuses on what really matters. Stop focus when someone's coming to you, it's about building. It's a real thing and it can really move effectively. So don't get sideways with interracial dating and things like that when you see people who really want to do it. Just stand by and support them. Stand by and watch back and see what they do if they're going to do what they say, because I understand that because we've been lied to a lot. But don't get in their way. So yeah, that's my part.
There you go. Round of applause there for Empress. A nice case study there, a nice segue into, focusing when you're actually amongst the community and not be distracted by smaller, minor things. Yeah, which we're all going to do today. So, family, I've put the link. It looks like a lot of people talking. Yeah, put the in the link. Feel free to jump on early if you would like to give your opinion on Empress Christie's case study or anything you might have seen. The last thing she said there was something that I think we should listen to quite well. If I can segue, is I think the last president of Ukraine, he signed off giving away the nukes and this kind of stuff. He was always allied to Russia, even though he's Ukrainian, and then the new president who came in is more of a, I guess, allied to Ukraine, if that makes any sense. And the parallels I look at that is, you look at many African nations, you kind of get leaders, and the choices the leaders make in power can really undermine and cripple the nation after they leave. And that's something like we have to really focus on when it comes to picking power and this kind of stuff. Like decisions people we place in authority make can really undermine the progress of a nation. And that's why, and that we can trickle that down into smaller politics, like local politics, like the people we have who represent us. They can make decisions that really undermine us or even just completely ignore us altogether. So I guess in that sense, we have to really be careful and have our own set of rules of who we want to represent us. And in a couple of weeks, I shall go more into that. I shall talk about the Black Burma Blueprint and the Black Custodians. But if you wish to jump in and add your 10 pence piece and compliment or add on to what Empress Christie said or just different views, please jump in. The link's there. It's for you guys. Come in. Now, while we do that, we also have one other thing we're going to do. We might have time for it now. And that is the second part. If you don't mind me going to the second part, Empress Christie, is that okay?
Yes, please.
There you go. And when people jump in, we can segue between both and stuff. But the question that's for the second part is, how many narcissistic manipulation tactics are practiced towards Black people by anti-Black racists? Now, what that means is, I was looking up like narcissistic tendencies and narcissistic people, and I was seeing that when they use manipulation tactics, I noticed that I saw correlations between that and many tactics that anti-Black racists would do whenever Black people will try to get together and do something for self. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play this, and I want to see if we, as they go through some of this list, if we can actually try to take this and see how would this work. Does this work in a bigger context of anti-Black racists undermining Black progress? So let's click on this fantastic video. Let's be Blackified. Where is it? This one? Rewind. All right. Maybe I can give you some examples as they come up. Let's see. Maybe you guys can do. Feel free to jump in and sing along if you see where you're trying to do anything constructive and somehow someone stops you with what could be a narcissistic manipulation tactic. Right.
Brainy Dose presents 13 narcissistic manipulation tactics you need to know.
You need to know.
Manipulative relationships are abusive and incredibly damaging.
So we look at this in the context of anti-Black racists to Black people.
It can even be the most traumatic experience a person will ever have.
Or a people group.
More often than not, victims of this type of abuse are blind to the manipulation.
Black people.
They rarely suspect that the people who should love them the most are using tactics of psychological control.
Some of you are very integrated in society and you believe that everyone loves you, and why would they want to sabotage your progress?
Instead of providing happiness and bolstering success, these loved ones become obstacles to achievement.
Is that what happens? All right.
So, how are we supposed to cope with these kinds of relationships? The hard truth is that changing a narcissist's behavior is almost impossible.
Really? Oh, dear. So, people outside the community who are anti-Black racists, it might be impossible to change their behavior. Interesting. Let's carry on.
Usually, the best option is to walk away.
Hello. Interesting.
But when that person is a parent, relative, spouse, or another significant figure to you, it makes having a narcissist in your life even more difficult.
Oh, dear. We were talking about picking partners, but we shall come back to that another time.
When you can identify their manipulation tactics, you enable yourself to respond positively, outsmarting them and protecting yourself from harm.
So this is the context of, for those who are joining, the context of the 13 narcissistic manipulation tactics that narcissists practice on people, where we're broadening it to narcissistic techniques that are practiced on Black people collectively by anti-Black racists.
Here are 13 strategies that narcissists use to manipulate you.
Anti-Black racists towards Black people.
Number 1. Enmeshment. Narcissists have no trouble crossing boundaries, and this disregard can evolve into a form of manipulation.
Okay.
Enmeshment is a term that refers to relationships where personal boundaries are unclear. Without respect for another person's individuality and specific needs, manipulators will say or do whatever they want, toward you, in front of you, or behind your back. Protesting or calling on morality won't make a difference.
You see, does this ever happen to you guys at all when you're trying to do something for Black people, for yourself, and anti-Black racists do this kind of behavior?
Sometimes this process is covert, and damage increases over time until it's too late.
Interesting.
Enmeshment deters you from speaking up about your emotions, getting support from others, and establishing healthy boundaries. It makes it difficult to effect positive changes for yourself and those you care about. Number 2,
We have a comment here. Can I just say we are not black, we are Nubian melanated human carbon? Sure. Like I said, big up Ricardo D. Williams. When you see the word black on the screen, this for those who are new, this magic star here on next to the K means it can change to African, melanated, black, or more anything. It's a magic star, and it's what he does, you see? So it's a cinnamon star, what they call it, synonymous, and boom. So don't be too tricked in the circle of words, because we'll keep going around in circles. Voila, let's carry on to see this the similar behaviors between anti-black racists and narcissists. All right.
deflection, diversion, and evasion. Narcissists use this tactic to get out of answering direct questions and avoid being caught in lies. They may deflect by transferring the conversation onto you, divert by steering the topic towards something else, or evade by responding with something unrelated, vague, or meaningless. The narcissist's goal is to confuse and redirect attention. This way, they don't have to take responsibility for their behavior. Number 3, amplification.
All right.
Narcissists like to amplify failure and push success aside when it comes to their relationships. You'll see your achievements go unnoticed.
Have we seen a history of black achievements being unnoticed, maybe given to other people?
Yep.
Oh, so we've already got a tick there. So that could be a narcissistic trait. We've covered many before, but this one seems to stand out quite a lot.
And the one before that was spot on as well.
There you go. So that's 2 hits. I counted 4 at the moment, but yeah, but let's say 2. There's 2 hits. Excellent.
Celebrated, while your shortcomings and mistakes are highlighted with painful detail. The end goal
So your shortcomings and mistakes are highlighted with painful details. Interesting, man. Interesting.
is to belittle you, so that the narcissist can assume the center of attention. When you're drained of energy and full of doubt, finding success will be more challenging. Number 4, emotional barriers.
All right.
Narcissists will use your emotions against you. When you feel upset about something they've done, instead of focusing on their behavior, they rather focus on your negative emotions.
Right. So sometimes an anti-black racist will practice racism, and they're your friend, lover, or so forth, and you let them know, and then they spin it on you. Has that happened to you before? I don't know.
They'll demean you when you object to their poor treatment, and they might even attack you for your positive emotions. This manipulation tactic will cause you to suppress your emotions over time. It allows the narcissist to escape blame and maintain control. Number 4.
Do you see that sometimes?
Brother, that was it. That's the whole concept of the reason of Black Lives Matter. That was exactly it.
There you go.
You oppress the people, and then when they react, you act like you don't know why.
Yeah. All lives matter. All lives matter, you see. All lives matter. Oh gosh, there you go.
5. Shaming.
Oh.
Most manipulators know that they can turn the pain of shame into a weapon. That's why they love humiliation. Frequent insults that highlight disgust, contempt, or disappointment are favorites within their arsenal, and they prefer to pull them out in front of an audience. The goal is to produce feelings of worthlessness and inadequacy, which subdue you into submission.
Ever seen that before, family? Anti-black racist people will try to control you with shame in a conversation. You might see some debates that I've been in speech school. Maybe they might do that as well. Who knows?
If you fall prey to this tactic, you may become trapped in a vicious cycle of negative thought patterns and feelings. Number 6, infantilize.
Oh, yeah.
This is another common manipulation tactic. Narcissists will disregard your emotional or psychological maturity by emphasizing your lack of knowledge or experience in life.
I think this is I think the whole history of Black history and African history gets undermined in a similar kind of way, it seems.
By reducing you to the status of a child,
Interesting.
in both your mind and theirs, they lower your rank in the social hierarchy and strip you of your ability to make decisions.
Yeah.
This allows the manipulator to retain full control. Number 7.
So by undermining a person's intelligence, it allows them.
Like if you would call a grown man boy.
Yep, There you go. You see extra points there for Empress. I was picking up those good notes there. Yeah. You see, this is what I'm saying. It seems to be a lot of these hitting home at the moment.
7. Rationalization. When a narcissist can't evade their behavior, they will rationalize it. Their justifications and excuses are often full of false reasons or fraudulent perspectives. Despite the fact that these rationalizations are full of lies, others will often believe them and see their side as understandable or even acceptable, especially when these lies are spread behind your back. The manipulator will likely change their story based on who they're talking to as well. The end goal is to escape ridicule. The narcissist wants you off their case so they can pursue their behavior with entitlement. They want you to feel dumb, inexperienced, or like you just don't understand them. Number 8. Triangulation. If you become the victim of triangulation, the manipulator will purposely fail to communicate with you while turning other members of your group against you.
Really? Turning other members of your group against you?
This form of bullying can take many forms, depending on the situation, but it almost always includes gaslighting or some covert element that pits you against others.
Yep, you might see that. You ever wonder why you have so many brothers and sisters come and try to sabotage? Where they learn this behavior from?
You might not even be fully aware of what's going on. The goal is to divide and conquer. Once you're isolated from your support system, the manipulator can assume control. Number 10. Covert aggressive abuse. Narcissists love to disguise their abuse. They will frame insults as helpful advice, useful lessons, or potential solutions. You might be led to believe that the manipulator sincerely wants to help you. The advice may be followed by criticism or disappointment from the narcissist themselves or their henchmen who believe you're inferior. This manipulation tactic is meant to belittle and demean. The narcissist can control you while covering up their toxic tracks. Number 11. Set up for failure. Narcissists enjoy seeing their victims in stressful situations. They derive pleasure from orchestrating these circumstances. That's why they set up their victims for certain failure. Then, that failure is used to discredit and blame the object of their manipulation. This manipulation tactic is often done covertly through sabotage or by undermining an achievable objective. Narcissists may be projecting their internal feelings of inadequacy onto their victims when they do this. Number 12. Vilification. This tactic will make you appear defensive while redirecting blame away from the narcissist. This happens when the manipulator falsely accuses you of being the abuser as a response to you addressing their behavior or your needs and boundaries. You might recognize this as gaslighting. In the end, you will question your position and your emotions. The goal of vilification.
Have you noticed that found out there that many times black people we have conversations about collectively being in terrible conditions and being victims of years and years of mistreatment, but yet everyone seems to agree. But when it comes to trying to do something about it, people are quiet and say, don't use that term or don't do that. Almost you feel guilty for trying to help yourself. I've noticed that a lot, especially when I do public speaking.
Absolutely.
I've been approached many times by many brothers and sisters say, please don't mention just our group. Just say you want to help everyone, this kind of stuff. I was like, okay, interesting.
Wow.
It happens a lot, and there's many people who won't be able to stand with me publicly because they believe somehow someone is doing something to them to make them feel that them trying to help community issues is a bad thing.
is to build your self-resentment and guilt, putting you in the wrong before you realize what's really going on. Number 13. Playing the victim.
Very interesting one.
Even though narcissists make victims of others, they love playing the victim. They will excuse their behavior or garner attention by claiming their suffering is the result of circumstance or another person. You can recognize this tactic when they say they had no other option, or if they complain all the time. They might also say that the person they are manipulating is actually the one manipulating them. Narcissists do this because they want to get pity, sympathy, or compassion from others. It helps them escape blame while gaining support from more unsuspecting victims. Overall, a narcissist's goal is to control. These manipulation tactics degrade victims' sense of autonomy, erode identity, and diminish social standing. Once weakened, the manipulator can easily dominate their victims. Although these behaviors signal antisocial traits that indicate personality disorders, almost everyone displays some of these behaviors at one time or another. The key to recognizing an unhealthy relationship with a manipulative person is identifying patterns. Because many of these tactics are covert, it may take years to see the insidious patterns of abuse, especially if you have a history of abuse or are an overly forgiving person.
Right.
However, when you know these strategies and can name
Are black people overly forgiving people? I don't know. We have to find out. We have to do some research to see. Have to do some research. All right. Cool. So,
I thought that was brilliant, by the way, bro.
thank you very much. So, for those who joined us now, what we are doing is let me check my messages. Like that. Yeah. There you go. What we were doing was we were comparing the 13 manipulation tactics of narcissists, and we were trying to expand that, as in, do we see that kind of collective behavior from anti-black racists towards the black community? And we were just looking at point per point, and if there was any that jumped in your head, family, where you saw any that you might see yourself, or you could actually untangle and go, oh, I see how that works. And I would go so far as to say maybe all 13 I've probably witnessed, which is interesting. And that's what it is. So the reason I say this is naturally one of the things that I try to do is obviously have clear direction in what we're trying to achieve. I think that many people believe that by not talking and not having goals and lists and things you're trying to do, that certain situations will fix themselves. And this is not true. Anything that is going terrible in the black community, anything that is underachieving, will not naturally fix itself. You have to actually make a stand. You have to do something. Kind of like segue back to the Ukraine invasion. Putin wanted it, so he just did what he wanted. He wouldn't have got it without making that effort, you see? So what I'm saying is things take effort. And I think one of the challenges that our community faces, because of this narcissistic behavior, many of our brothers and sisters feel embarrassed and shamed. Sometimes people might use groups they're part of. Maybe they're part of the same religion, maybe workforce, maybe friends, maybe even your family. And what we're going to try to do here is recognize it and not just shoot that down, but maybe have some kind of language that we can use that we recognize it, and try to really get on code to make everyone else more comfortable and actually kind of like, if we use once again Putin's not as we're agreeing with the invasion thing, but his conviction his strength in what he believes, maybe we could practice the same as that when it comes to what we believe, as in not being swayed by other people's might or whatever, right? So what have I been provided? So there's something that I'm calling. Let's see if I can shift it across here. Voila. So prevent progress protocol. Now this is aka P3. This is what I see a lot, and every time I talk, you might get it from a few unsynchronized black brothers and sisters, and that is, you start talking about ways to improve, and then you get a person who is like automatically in the back of their mind, either in the subconscious or conscious, it's the prevent progress protocol. There's some kind of protocol that happens that comes in the mind, where they automatically start trying to look at things as too long or not good enough, or that's wrong, or how's that going to help her? Why you? So this is something that we're going to try to analyze. And anytime I say, I will shout P, I will shout 3P. This is for myself, I mental note, to see how consistent are we going through this, and how can we work together to have certain kind of words and codes that easily get us back on track whenever we're sabotaged from within or from without. So that's something that we want to think about. And I've given the link. I think I have. I think Empress did as well, but let me put it again because a lot of good talking going in. So feel free to jump in. And let me just come back up quickly. We can unpack that. Yeah, to talk about have you experienced any kind of narcissistic manipulation tactics when you have tried to do constructive things for yourself, for your family, peer group, or your people group? Let us know. Feel free to jump in. Blah blah blah. There you go. There's the link. So Empress Cushion, would you say a few of those landed? You say a few of those you recognize? Is that right?
Definitely. Like you said, all of them landed. Some of them just stood out a bit more quicker than me, but yeah, they all landed. I think it was such a good and unique way I've never seen it looked broken down like that. And it's so shocking of how many. I mean, I don't think if you got, say, for example, there was 13, correct?
That's right.
I don't even think if you got like, 12 out of 13 or 11 out of 13, I think you'd still be considered a narcissist, right? But when you're hitting every single point, we've got a real beast on our back, like that's a lot to contend with daily.
Yes. There you go. So it's showing that we at this, at least from this case study, it seems that when we have black people interacting with the dominant society and also anti-black pundits, whatever, you are seeing a narcissistic tendency hitting in a quite high ratio. Narcissist is that described as an excessive craving for admiration, a diminished ability to empathize with others and feelings. It really is placing themselves center in all things and making sure that the things you do works in their best interest and not necessarily yours. And this is
a good concept to make people think it through a narcissistic way. Absolutely,
definitely. I think at a certain point, I'm gonna really speed up the wake up process when it comes to black people in the UK, in the world, whatever. When it comes to really what is stopping us from building, like what's really going on there, like
absolutely.
We really need to review that. Like, why is it that industry, we're not controlling industries, we're not controlling cultures, we're not controlling so many things. Why is that? And once again, it could be, not to point fingers, but it could be this kind of dominating narcissistic relationship we have with the dominant society, where we are actually doing more for them than they are for us, if anything at all.
Brilliantly put. Absolutely. Because I was going to ask you a question. How much, when you asked that question, how much of a percentage would you say was our fault, and how much was internal, and what percentage of that would be external?
That's a very good question. One that we might even have to go a case study on. What I would say though is, and this is why I would say, be merciful to our brothers and sisters, because I think a lot of this is self-induced, but it's the legacy of direct manipulation that's making it self-induced. It isn't like, for example, if we look at the Ukrainians, for example, the Ukrainians on some of the news now, you're getting videos of ex-boxing champions who are saying they're gonna fight. They have no choice but to fight. You've got the people taking up arms in a fight that they're probably really out when it comes to like weaponry and just sheer tech. But once again, they're fighting spirits there because they are self-determined and they like their sovereign nation, this kind of stuff, right? And I'm thinking that hasn't been beat out of them. But I do feel that the problem with obviously our people is we do come from a very well executed manipulation movement, really, where years and years and years of narcissistic behavior and retraining has made us literally integrate every single idea, every single form of betterment, everything you can think of has been heavily integrated and given to other people, almost automatically. And this has to be the unraveling, the undoing, and the reversing. Definitely have to. I think there's a show. There we go, brother. Let's just walk. 5 seconds. Welcome, brother Kel. How's it going?
How you doing, brother Raven? How you doing, sister Coach D?
Yes, up, brother Kel. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad.
That's good.
So what we've been studying, if you just joined, brother Kel, is there's this thing called the 13 narcissistic manipulation tactics, and we were trying to see how many of these manipulation tactics tend to be used from anti-black racists towards black people, and when we were counting, I counted all 13. And then we asked, we're trying to pinpoint why is it so challenging for black people to really just do anything on a collective big level, and we're seeing some of the results in some of years of manipulation might really demotivate a person from even trying to do anything.
Yeah, we can definitely say that unethical code of conduct is definitely narcissistic by the non-Africans. That is the foundation,
Mm,
you know, self-love, self-race, self-determination in all
mm,
things. So,
mm,
um, as for us as a people, we are definitely narcissistic when it comes to individualism. So
mm,
if we're going to talk about that word narcissistic, then we can definitely say that the unsynchronized Africans are definitely narcissistic as it pertains to the blueprint of individualism. So yeah, very interesting word.
mm, mm. Definitely. One thing I'm going to be bringing in is actually the Black Batman blueprint that I've been writing, and I'm going to need the community to chime in for certain things. What I'm looking to do is get like a kind of a list of things, like areas that we want to be upholding, and we have to expand each one. But I've got things like obviously Black love, Black economics, Black defense, Black health, Black ownership, Black centeredness, Black collectiveness, Black efficiency. But I'm going to change the cycles. And I've even put Black politeness and Black constructiveness. But I'm just as usual. Anything I do, I try to get the family involved because it's family.
Custodian needs to be in there as well.
Well, that the custodian is the actual thing. So this is more like the principle.
Oh, so that's the umbrella, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
underneath it.
yeah. So
Right.
so these things is what we expect a
Or
custodian.
pillars, for
Yeah,
example.
these are pillars, right? Think because what is I'm watching. There's a black show on the. I very rarely watch TV, but a friend said there's something black on TV, so I watched it. And some of you might have seen it. I think it's on BBC Two. Some of my friends were in it who I work with in the background doing some stuff with it. But it was it's like a black British or Black in Britain. I can't remember the name, but it might be on now to me. It might actually be on now. I don't even know.
We are Black and British.
That's the one. I think something like that. And they've got 4 or 5 guests from different walks of life of Britain, and they're just talking about their opinions and stuff. And obviously everyone's got the diverse differences, but I think only one of the people on there, maybe one of them, is probably more closer to a kind of black betterment kind of template, as in like trying to put black first, trying to actually dedicate time to fix black issues. And I think that is quite alarming. It's not alarming if you're actually a normal person, whatever. But once you actually start trying to dedicate time to do things, you realize the amount of work that needs to be done, really, and what needs to be done.
Well, there's an interesting book by Sigmund Freud's nephew, and it's called The Others. And this book breaks down Sigmund Freud, although he was a white supremacist at the same time, he seems to critique as well as elaborate on the nature of his community. And he mentions in that book, and if people can get it, it'll be online. Hopefully it will be, but then again, they'll remove it. And he mentions that when it comes to the Europeans, that they have like 2 sides. And they have the victimized one, and they have the one where they try and function. And he explains that whenever they need to justify some form of ill treatment, what they do is that they'll use the victimized side to tell them that you haven't done anything wrong, to help them to function by the mistreatment what they do. And that's very interesting because I didn't really catch the beginning of the show, but what I've noticed is that whenever they talk about religion to control about people, it's definitely narcissistic. Interracial relationship, it's definitely narcissistic. In the media, all the science which seems to govern the planet, it has a narcissistic element towards unethical code of conduct of non-African people. So we do need to have a way of trying to help our people to recognize narcissism. So I'm looking forward to this blueprint, Brother Raven.
Definitely, yeah, definitely. This is something that we will do. And if you're out there in the family, Are you a person who you might be from a certain community group, whatever it might be, and maybe it's religious, who knows, and maybe you're trying to you realize there's a tremendous amount of work to be done to even get black people at some kind of basic level of betterment, and you feel very motivated. You realize it's a good thing. You've watched all the news. You got your black betterment backpack and all that good stuff, and then you start, and then people who you connect to are not black, then automatically develop some kind of prevent progress protocol. So automatically, now you're so motivated, and then you now feel away. You now have to move in secret. You now question yourself: is this you? I would say jump on board or give us a message, but you probably won't be able to. Isn't that something, right? You'll notice if anyone who's following me in Speaker's Corner, you'll notice this technique happen a lot when I get there. And one of the things I try to do is show people how to be unapologetic and how to have purpose, and also how to always reset the argument and focus what the agenda is. We're talking about narcissism and manipulation tactics, but if you give an example, a few weeks back, a few months back, I can't remember. And I'll be talking about the importance of black love, like why is it important for constructive black man to be a constructive black woman? And some people will push on and say things like, what about you're manipulating, you're hurting biracial people and white people or non-black people by doing this. This is a direct quote, And once again, the topic is how to help black people, but yet by trying to fix it, automatically we are hurting people who are defining as non-black. They've defined those people as non-black. So once again, your complaints and your motivations mean nothing. Is this a form of narcissism? Potentially, who knows? Something we have to unpack.
Very interesting. And can I just say on what you said? I should reply to that I noticed that as well, that this is supposed to be a representation of black and British, and there's only one individual there who has a hard stance on politics that are good for black people, and two people on there didn't even identify as black.
Interesting.
Which is just interesting.
Yes. Yeah, interesting. Yeah. And there was one scene I think I saw where there was he's either homosexual or same gender loving person. I don't know how he identifies. And I think one of the
he was
women,
gay.
Yeah, I think one of the women must have said something like, "Oh, well, my only issue is I don't believe that LGBT issues should be taught to young children." And he left. He didn't want to talk. He was very angry, even though he wasn't actually. Well, I think she said transgender. She was talking about
because she was saying that she's got a problem with 5-year-olds having trans hour, where somebody who is transgender comes and reads to the kids.
Yes.
At 5, she said that the kids should be focusing on being 5.
Yeah.
And he found that very offensive because his argument is that you need representation. And then he went on to say before he left that, you've got gay friends, you've got gay people in your family, your teachers, some of the teachers that are teaching your kids could be gay. And she was trying to say, but we're talking about transgender. So he was the one who's supposed to be, knowledgeable in his own community. She was the one saying that you're basically swapping them around. And he got very flustered. And I think that shows you that they've definitely got an air of like, not as much as Jewish people, but that air where they're not used to being in a space where it could be like a media space, a politically correct space, and get pushed that hard. That makes sense. Because it stops or it doesn't even get started because no one wants to get cancelled. So when she's really questioning him, he's flustered. Like, actually, what's going on here? It should have been shut down long ago because I'm a protected community. And I think that's what it was, because he just walked away because she was saying that you're just confusing the two. Because she's saying that I don't agree with transgender, but you're talking about gays. He was saying, but there's transgender teachers as well, and basically representation is necessary. That's what his argument was to that. So that was very interesting as well to me.
Very interesting. I don't know if it's on every day.
There's only 2.
Oh, really? Oh, so there's me thinking that there was.
Obviously, you can sum up the whole of Black people in 2 episodes. I mean, even 2 is generous.
Last thing I saw was like in the 90s, the Real McCoy. That was the last thing I remember. But yeah. Oh wow, 2 episodes. There you go. Well done. Yeah. So I noticed it. It was interesting, but yeah, like Empress Christie says, there was one brother who might have come close to talking about, you know, betterment and radical ideas as they would describe it. But the idea really is to get everyone on that, well, as many influenced people as possible to be dedicated to actually having tangible results. I honestly believe that many brothers and sisters are self-sabotaging and they don't actually can't quantify what a tangible result is. I think many people have what have they have what's the word? They've I don't say culturalized, but they've culturalized struggle or something like that. They've got used to it. Yeah. I mean, when you have words like hustler, that is the glorification of not achieving. That's technically what it means.
But always trying.
Yeah.
Miserable, isn't it?
Yeah. So what I'm saying is, you know, and yeah, I think what has been good is I've been talking to a lot of like-minded brothers and sisters, and I've always told people that within the way I move, Black people who are trying to progress themselves and trying to do good. If I have time, I'm always going to do pro bono work for that. But generally, when it comes to actual building, I'm only going to really build with brothers and sisters who kind of share a similar kind of blueprint with me, right? And that's why we are going to be, as time goes by, unraveling ways to be a Black custodian. And one of the ways is we need to have a Black Betterment blueprint, which clearly defies certain things. So when I think because they actually had, interesting enough, on the show they had, because I was popping in and out cooking or whatever, right? But I remember there was, I think, a dating.
Vegan. No, I'm joking.
There was a dating section or something, and they were asking about. Yeah,
yes, bro.
Yeah, and I saw there was like a brother there who was, I think that's another thing. This concept of like date who you want, doesn't matter, but they, you know, and they always end up with Europeans with them. But it's yeah, something we need to review. I think I had some white gentleman there who the black lady was saying, oh, I don't usually go for European white men, whatever, but this guy was cool. So I can't remember what he said. He's some lumberjack looking guy. Yeah, very interesting.
Very.
Yeah. Very interesting.
That whole setup was very interesting, though, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. And I met Brother Respect, the guy I've worked with before, while he was doing some community work. Yeah, that was interesting.
Yeah.
I think one of the brothers who was once again Pans, who was heavily into interracial dating, he wasn't best pleased with the community taking initiative to police the wrong streets and this kind of stuff. He says that you're probably going to scare. Nothing else to observe there. You're probably going to scare the community by you coming out to try to enforce and add protection towards the community. So I do want to know is what was it about them that made them scary? I didn't unpack that.
Definitely.
Yeah. It would be good
because the woman was saying that he's not saying anything wrong. What's coming out of his mouth, you can't fault him for. He's getting cheers on the street when he's walking. So what is it? If you dig deep, what is intimidating you? Why are you uncomfortable here? And you're a black man.
Yeah. So once again, this might be a prevent progress protocol. Something here they're seeing black people take initiative, actually not talking and doing. And then as soon as it comes in, what do? They go on TV with the prevent progress protocol. It's like they're trying to prevent progress, and it's a protocol. It's like it happens automatically. You know what I mean? Prevent progress protocol. Interesting. I'm seeing patterns there. So yeah, we definitely have to recognize this as we do, and let's make sure that's on it. Yeah.
Even with the schools, I felt they did that as well, because they went into a school where the initiative was heavily African centered. Do you remember that part?
I did that part. I do remember, yeah.
And they said on there that the school has been performing better than average.
Yes.
But blinking, you would have missed that part, because all of it was just, they focused on one English class, and it was very negative in regards to slang.
Yeah, I remember.
And that was a different an interesting argument. You know, if we should allow our kids to talk in their slang even when they're in a wider society or not. But that's what you focused on, you know, that was what you focused on. You know, when you looked around of everything on there, there was affirmations and books, and, you know, there's 100 different classes, math, science, you know, you focus on that class and their response to perhaps saying that you're telling a bunch of kids it's okay to talk slang to when you're in the wider world, which I don't think she was saying anyway. But yeah, that was disappointing.
I take it you haven't seen the episodes, Brother Kel.
Say again, Brother Raven.
I take it you have the show we're describing. I take it you haven't seen it.
No, but I'll be honest with you. I saw Avatar. I tend to I have a different type of viewpoint, brother. Whenever I see something that kind of alliterates on synchronized, I kind of keep away from it. I mean, the title alone tells you in truth. You shouldn't be watching it. I mean, black and British. You know what I mean? I don't know how clear that could be to keep away from it. But one thing I will say, brother, the strategy to deal with the narcissistic should be stoicism. I think our people have to master, you know, the art of stoic, and as it pertains to stoicism, because what it's going to do, brother, it will help the one who's the victim by the narcissistic will be able to assess it. And definitely, brother, I know this may seem a lot, have to record their behavior to get witnesses to ambush them, to limit their narcissism. Because, you know, I was on a panel one time, and it's no different than dealing with non-African people. I had noticed that whenever they can't use their collective unethical code of conduct, they become very emotional. Yes. It's almost as if like they've you know, lost the balance of their stoicism. So they become very emotional. They start saying very emotional things, very imaginative things, and very things that lead toward you know, their demise of, you've lost the whole debate. You know, I don't like to compete or debate with non-African people. I think it's a waste of time. But if there's a way where you can help our people to strategize, then I don't mind it. But they can't handle when they can't use their unethical code of conduct. So that's something.
Bro, you say that, and you just said that you don't advise us watching that, but then you'd go on a panel with those kind of people. You know what I mean? So I think everyone will do different kind of things that are not necessarily unsynchronized. But I think the reason why it's okay to perhaps watch it, although, you know, you don't want to give them ratings and things like that, I hear the other argument of it, but it is interesting to see what after you know, the whole notion of Black Lives Matter and everything that happened, and you could tell that this was in the wake of that. It had that lingering over it. And this is what they represent to the masses, because Raven, his thing is to still compassion, right? So you understand that the masses are going to see that, and not everybody's going to be synchronized. So it is, I think it, you know, everyone has their ways to get to the people, and sometimes you can see, like you said, there's a reason behind things.
Well, the difference between that, Sister Kushti, is that for me, I'm a student of political science, right? So whenever there's non-African people leading our people on a podcast, right, it's very important when you have time to eliminate and reveal their intentions. I don't think we can reveal the intentions of something that's been pre-recorded, where the narcissist has already developed, that we're going to have, as what I've listened to from you, Brother Raven. One is going to be more near to betterment, and the rest are going to be subservient. That's pre-recorded. Whereas helping our people, economically funding, because you do need to be funding, as well as illiterate in political science, so they know how to attack the one who is controlling our people, is very important and more beneficial than watching a show that has been pre-recorded, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I think we can probably agree to disagree on that, because both of them, the outcome is that the likelihood of that individual who's even there in the first place all of a sudden turn into the notion that we would want them to think, which we know is the right way, would seem radical to them. So you're probably not going to be changing that individual instantly just because it's live. Just because this is pre-recorded doesn't mean that we can't take aspects of it and analyze it live while someone's listening live. And this is why I say there's different strokes for different folks. But what I'm saying is there is always a way, as Brother Raven has shown us, even when he speaks to individuals, but he's literally speaking through them. And remember that I'm one of the first people to be telling Raven, I don't know why he bothers. Like, that was my thing the whole time. So I've been patient and been learning why and seeing aspects to it. But I also feel that Raven has also seen my frustration as well. So yeah, that's just my thoughts on it, but we can agree to disagree on that, bro.
Well,
yeah, we can.
I would say that, what I tend to do is I do tend to do case studies. So seeing what kind of propaganda is out there, and I think when you're entering this kind of stuff, having a kind of decolonized mind, or a mind that is still dedicated to your own people progress, that way you're not watching things as though it's like a piece of entertainment that you can indulge in. You're more seeing how manipulation takes place, how narcissism takes place, and how unsynchronization takes place, so you can report on it. So you're doing a case study. Essentially, you have to watch things you disagree with to do a case study. I would say that me personally, I think for the years I've been doing it, maybe I've become so desensitized to certain things that it's like, I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, but I don't tend to react emotionally towards content I see anymore. It's been like a good 10 years where it's almost like I kind of see the patterns developing on what they're doing, and it's like that. But what Brother Kel was saying is interesting as well, where he's saying that, if he goes on a panel and there's a person, a non-black person there who's kind of like practicing narcissistic tendencies and stuff, he wants to expose it straight away with certain questions. Question though, Carl, these debates you're doing, are they like live streams, or are they like just in workplaces kind of stuff?
Sometimes it's outside. Like, obviously my couple of my family members, they have certain businesses where even now, brother, there are non-African people trying to get couple non-African people into that institution. So there is a court, a law court on this at this present moment. So when you hear them trying to explain why they need to be in this institution where they're economically sorted out, I observe, also on panels as well, brother. There's been a couple of times where you'll get like, a non-African, they're going to explain to our people why they should listen to them and not listen to us who are synchronized, which is very interesting.
If you get any of those, anyone who gets out there, I've always said to the brothers and sisters, Speaks Corner, you really get this kind of like narcissistic bullying tactic that goes on. Let me jump on. Let me see what's going on. I would recommend you do not go on these streams. But once again, I would say that many of our brothers and sisters are kind of, through cultural means, very connected to other people who don't have their best interests at heart. And this cultural connection that they share, I've seen it many times, is used as a bully tactic. I've seen it. I mean, I can make
it's very interesting. And when the non-African explains to the African descendants that you are part of this collective and you shouldn't be part of that collective, but the collective that they want them to be in is practicing unethical code of conduct, which is very interesting. Or they will tell the African descendant that you're not African, or you're not this, and you know what I mean. Whereas they use their narcissism globally to define you as something low and being African is bad. So yeah, I mean, I can let you know and that, but I only go on there, brother, as I said, to support and to use political science to help our people, because it's all about strategies, you know, teaching our people how to combat you know, the narcissists, as you say today, you know, what weapons to use. Do you know, use stoicism at this time, deflect at that time, you know, at this at that time. It's all about strategizing. So, you know, I don't mind helping with that, because growing up I've been taught those things. But it's just sometimes like it can be very destructive, as what you know, Francis Cress Wilson said, like, when we're all on together, we could be poison to one another, you know. Right. So it can be a lethal injection. So, you know, it depends on how it is, but definitely, I think, brother, to be fair, I believe we should more study the non-Africans than studying our people, you know, because a lot of us, we seem to understand unsynchronization, you know, more better than understanding the unethical code of conduct of the non-Africans. You know, that needs to be more studied. That's what I believe, anyway.
Well, I think what I try to do is I try to develop ways of getting to a solution quicker and recognizing undermined tactics and reversing it in our benefit. So, for example, you'll find that when I go to Speed's Corner, I was very clear that I wanted to form an Owl Corner, which is just dedicated to people of African descent, this kind of stuff. And you got a few pushback here and there, and people wanted to, I wouldn't say pushback, they wanted to join in, and then what would happen is this is the falsehood you have to recognize. They say they want to join in and they want to do something that can help Black people, and then you go, okay, well, you can't join, but you can do something to help Black people. And the thing I automatically say is, whenever Black people are being mistreated in your community, come and let us know. And it's always interesting that this, to Black people, as unsynchronized Black people, was even a shock, where I have seen brothers and sisters go, so you want them to be a snitch? That's not right. And let's break that down, because once again, one of the things that I'm trying to make Black people understand is, in this dynamic, Black people are seen subservient and unworthy of any kind of love and affection. So that's why when you say that in your community, you're confessing that you want to fix the issues that your community has started, and you want to join and help us. And we say, how you can help us is by letting us know when people in your community are mistreating us. And then people from our community are saying, oh man, that's terrible. You're asking him to be a snitch. So you're seeing what do I call it again? Let's make sure my memory isn't too bad. It's the prevent progress protocol, you see. And that's in that attitude there. People have jumped in to actually undermine progress. And obviously the European or the white person, whatever, who wants to join will then go along with that, you see, because they've got someone who's being their shield in that conversation. So interesting, very interesting things that go on. Family, I've thrown the link out there. Feel free to jump in. It's the StreamYard one, if it's still there. We're talking about narcissistic manipulation tactics, and Brother Kel's given us some testimony of recently times he's tried to jump in to aid Black people who are being victims of narcissistic manipulation. And I'm wondering, have you guys gone through that? How do you deal with it? What is the strategies? And then I guess at a certain point, there's a wake-up moment in my head where it's like, what's really going on in the world? Why is it that we have so much struggling going on when it comes to actually achieving very minor things? What is really going on there? Where is these industries? Where is the building? Where is the control of the media? What is happening? Interesting.
You've got comments, bro.
All right. Quite a lot as I'm looking. Let's say quite a lot of conversations going on. You should probably jump in. Let's see what we got here. 100% brother agreement. Okay. We are going to change it if do not look within our community. A bit muddled there, but I know what you meant. Remember, it's overstand. We don't stand under. That's what understand means. Very nice. There you go. Ignoring the facts that we have to look within. Yeah, we have to look within. I honestly think creating words, symbolic symbols, and just templated blueprints that we promote is going to be a good starting point. And hopefully, I can unravel these projects I'm talking about soon. There we go. Let's welcome. Hold on, click on that one. Welcome, Kusha Shem. Welcome.
Hey,
Welcome back, brother.
Hey,
thank you,
bro,
thank
how
you,
are you?
thank you. I'm good, man. I'm good. Thank you for having me here.
Of course.
I'm just gonna be quick. I want to listen more because the things you're speaking about is very, very crucial for our community. And just to add on, I don't want to, disagree with others.
Go ahead.
I want us to also understand, that in order for us to, solve any problem, we have to look at the problems that is there. We have to, if you want to look at the problems that are there, we need to look in first. We can't look out. We need to look in. We need to look in our communities and see where the issues are in order for us to actually, that's why you are breaking things down. You're breaking things down. And when you're breaking things down, you're breaking things down that are a part of the community, that is hitting our community. So this is a very, very important thing to do, to go in, to analyze our community, to then, come forward with some solutions. But if we can't look in, how can we look out? How can we even look at the other person, and his ideologies? We already know his ideology. We know he's blunt. We know he hates us. Why do we want to seek knowledge or try to understand the people, when we can't even understand ourselves?
Well, here's the thing, brother. Neela Fuller Jr. makes it perfectly clear that if you don't understand white supremacy, nothing in your life is going to make sense. What I notice as us globally in that, right, is that we don't seem to put the light on those who've created our paradigm as it pertains to system, unethical code of conduct on African people. We'll say we know our enemy and know this, but we don't understand the blueprints what our enemy uses globally. And for me, but that's why I focus on them, because when you focus on them, it puts them naked, so to speak, from them covering their guilt and their unethical code of conduct. And that's what I've noticed with us as a people. With too much focus on us, we've been doing that for like centuries, and guess what's happened? We still don't understand white supremacy. So we need to focus on them, right? So we can strategize and say to ourselves, okay, so when they can't use their collective racism, that they become more emotional. I'm not going to learn that when I'm around my people, and that. I'm not going to learn that, because when I'm around my people, what I'm getting from my people, unfortunately, is indoctrination of non-African people as the Caribbean, and that. All you got to do is study each Caribbean country and that, and they either have a German or a French mindset. Same thing when you go to East Africa. No disrespect to my East African brothers and sisters, they have an Arab mindset. It's the same thing when it comes to in certain parts of the Caribbean, as well as on the African continent as well. You see, so it would be a more of a justice and a more of a betterment to study the non-Africans than to study us as a people, or due respect to it.
Yeah, I understand I understand you most definitely, Kale. But also keep repeating it. It's because we have not progressed, and even though our history is there, everything is there, they are more blunt. My brother, we already know who they are. We know who our enemy is, in a way. You understand? So why should we search for, some form of, recognition or some form of understanding on their part? We don't need to anymore. We can look within now. We can start doing things within our own community. If we don't look at our community and see the problems and issues, we're speaking about very important things like white supremacy, etc., like concepts that we need to understand. But how can we understand that if we are not being taught? Yeah. So that's why I'm saying we need to focus on our community to teach them this, so that they understand, so they go out and be more prepared when they have discussions with people of other races, because we already know them. We have it in our history books. It's already there. It's blunt. They've already shown who they are. Like, that's my view. That's my point of view when it comes to this. You know, it's, we already know them, bro. We already studied them. We already know who they are. We don't know us. That's the problem, brother. We don't know us. That's the problem.
Brother, if we know who they are, why do we seek funding to help our organization? Why are we marrying to them, brother? If we know
Because we don't know ourselves. That's the problem.
because we don't know them, brother. We don't know them.
Okay, that's okay.
Understand? Clear. Now we can disagree in that. We don't know them. Because if we knew them, brother, right? Just like, for example, Elijah Muhammad, right? You know, an ancestor, that he made it clear in his blueprint. He says that the European man is an entity of the devil. You see? Do you know when he said that, brother? You know what that did? It stopped the African Americans in time buying into their institutions, marrying with them, right? And keeping away from them. I want you to understand that, brother. When he said that, they recognized and said, wow, the devil's evil for doing these types of mindsets. So the devil's evil. We don't like the devil. We need to keep away from them. You see what I mean? So that's what I'm saying, right? We can learn within ourselves, brother, because the internet, one thing the internet has taught us ever since Philip Emeagwali, the Nigerian who invented the internet, we're learning about our history, but we're learning about ourselves and things like that, but we're not learning about them. And although we have all this knowledge on ourselves, bro, we seem to not build things. We seem to be marrying with them. We seem to be trusting them. We seem to be not understanding that when you need to vote, whether in UK or in America, you need to have some economical power to pay the politicians for your agenda. We don't seem to understand them things, brother. So respectfully, right, we have to understand the non-Africans' unethical code of conduct.
Yeah, most definitely. But I think the curriculums are out there. I think we have more information about them than information about us. That's what I'm saying. But I understand you. You can disagree, man. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. I don't want to have a discussion about this. I want you, Raven, to have your thing, man. I don't want to destroy anything. I just wanted to say my piece. And we can agree to disagree. It's fine. It's okay, my brother.
Hello.
I just wanted to say my part on it, and I just
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I was just saying that if it's okay, I just wanted to say my part on it as well.
Please do. Go ahead.
Put my 2 cents in, and I think it's a mixture of both, and that's what I think I was trying to say before. Whereas we need both, and we need to be working hard to do both of what your both brothers are suggesting, and that's what I was trying to say to Brother Cal about it's not an either or. Do you know what I mean? What might work one way can also work another way as well. I don't think there's one or the other that we must take. So when the brother is saying that we should work inwards and be focusing on ourselves, and when he's saying when he says that, I hear him. To me, what comes to mind is things like self-worth, knowing your history, building up self-esteem, also knowing about characteristics of us, what's the problems within us, how do we get better, how do we notice the patterns, and that's necessary as well. So I say I think we need that. And there's also blueprints written by the Honourable Messiah Garvey, literal blueprints, Neely Fuller, Francis Cresswell. There's so many people that have laid down the foundation who has studied us. All we need to do is read and adopt those kinds of routes that they've given us. But then as well, we have got an almighty force or a beast on us. And when you look back at what Brother Raven showed us in regards to narcissism, and if you did happen to see the first part of me breaking down what's currently happening in regards to Ukraine and Russia, these are aspects to look at, because I do believe studying how they are also stops this notion of the great white hope and how they're perfect and how they're doing infighting. And yeah, like what Brother Kel says, look at the politics and how they adapt and what really gets up, what, like he said, he started noticing different habits, different characteristics, different patterns, what happens when he questions this way, or he starts seeing how the shift starts moving, or how the power dynamics start shifting, or how they start using alliances. So this is why I say they're equally important. Because it's for, it's for our freedom, it's for progression, so it's not going to be easy, but I think they both work hand in hand.
Yeah, most definitely. I'm with you there.
Excellent family. So, I mean, like I said, one of the key things I'm recognizing is building with like-minded people is very important, and it is a very, excuse me, it's a very good strategy. And I guess a lot of our journeys when we start is actually try to, like, you're going through like a filtering process, because that's the thing. You if you have radical, don't get me wrong, there's certain things that could be private and not necessarily affect your day-to-day actions, but there's some fundamentals that really matter, right? Now, it's not saying that you won't actually stop someone from believing what they believe in, but when you work towards one goal, there are certain things that really work in cohesiveness, right? As in, like, we share these same principles, we're moving to the same kind of goal. And that's why having a blueprint is a good way, because we can establish, okay, when we're doing stuff, these are the things that we push forward. So if everyone kind of agrees to some of the tendencies of what they mean and how they represent, then you're not going to get that kind of confusion and uncivilizations, before you start. I've joined many collective groups and they don't do this, and then before you know it, they just it really becomes a hot mess to us. And I think, establishing early on what we're about. And for me personally, just to add, like the brothers and sisters who talk on this channel, it seems by the way this channel is set up, for the most part, it attracts a certain kind of thinker, a certain kind of person, right? I think that's important. Trying to have your set themes, your set values, and that way you attract more like-minded people. And with them, the building process will be easier.
I always say, brother, is that and this is something I was taught by the elders, is that you always have to you have to eliminate the leader of the pack, because if I start trying to eliminate our people, we all suffer from post-traumatic slavery disorder and colonization, so it's going to trigger it. So if I focus on the leader, which is the non-African, and that, because there's always a leader amongst our collective, there's always a non-African who is playing the shepherd, and unfortunately we are the sheep to the slaughter. So eliminating them, whether you're on a podcast or even in a debate, or even when it comes to doing business deals, there's ways of using certain tactics when it comes to business. As long as you can psychologically outdo the mindset of the non-African as it pertains to having your rights, that is more powerful than trying to outdo our people. Because remember, our people suffer with the narcissism of the non-Africans. So when you're dealing with our people, unfortunately, you are definitely dealing with a European and Asian and Middle Eastern. Regardless of where you are in the world, you're dealing with that. So in order to relinquish that, right, I do agree you have to detox within, but you have to focus on the one who's claiming that their ideology as it pertains to narcissism is the way forward. Eliminate either, and then the collective will definitely follow you.
100%.
Yeah. One other strategy that I would pushing forward as well is the kind of concept where you kind of draw a line in the sand and you start valuing what you are. So you become unapologetic in a polite way, but you draw a stand in what you are. You have everyone who's synchronized with it, and then you let people know the rule set of how you become part of it. But we're not going to benchmark, rebrand certain things, and talking that kind of confidence, and also everything we do has to be justified logically as it pertains to Black betterment, as it pertains to Black people progressing, and certain fundamentals, like also how we word things. So when it comes to, say, if we talk about dating or marrying and these kind of concepts, whatever, right? Rather than saying who we shouldn't marry, we should focus who we should marry and why. And if anyone tries to switch it back to someone else, we switch it back to no. We want to talk about who we should marry. You know, I think for many times the conversation gets shifted to things that. For example, are we speaking about the Black Love campaign about constructive black man, constructive black woman, and then other people will throw in there. Well, what about the non-African or non-black person and the offspring of them who I'm identifying as something different? So what they're doing is they're othering. They're hearing a topic that's about particular people and putting in a different agenda in that. So the question is, what tactics do we do to highlight that, we are talking about the value of constructive black man and constructive black woman making constructive black family, right? And also use the logic of, well, if we say we're about black betterment, surely there must be a process of how to produce that, and that also includes economics as well. There was something I think I said about. There's a tale I remember not too long ago. I had a meeting with a sister, and this was before the George Floyd murder. I remember she was. We used to do some courses where we would teach certain things about black betterment and stuff like that. I remember she was one of my students, and she said her job was to hire people to do printing in her company. And she was looking around and she came across a company, and I think she managed to come across their website, and she goes, "Oh my days, you're all from the Caribbean and Africa, black people. That's great. We're gonna hire you. That's amazing. I want to show my support. We're looking for printers. You guys are there. We're gonna hire you." And she must have rang me distraught, crying that I think the boss of the company was CC'd on it, and because she said, "I'm very proud that you guys have of African descent, whatever, and you're doing well. We're gonna hire you." She was fired, and they got rid of her. This was most tragic for her. But it wasn't a few months later when George Floyd was murdered, and then you had the like European people deliberately promoting black businesses and this kind of stuff. So you see how you have to get permission.
Wow.
Yourself. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That kind of dynamic. And I've noticed that, and this is something that I want to highlight and eliminate and draw attention to this subservient behavior, just in the wider public towards non-Africans and non-Africans and this kind of stuff. But it's like the observation of that is, and I put that down to narcissism as well. This control of opposition where, you can promote yourself once we give you permission. And there's a fundamental rule why black betterment at the very core is only about black people. There cannot be no non-African, no non-black people, non-Negro, non-Nubian, non-whatever in a meeting, because these kinds of potential narcissistic patterns might happen, and they don't really work best for the collective betterment of black people.
So, Brother Raven, would you say, right, that like in ancient times with the hieroglyphics and stuff, right, that we should have like a Morse code of having one word to mean basically key points in a paragraph? Me and Kusha and IC3 was talking about one time. I proposed the word share. That we say the word share, it means sharing your economics, sharing the betterment of black people. But instead of confessing it like loudly, like about black people, if we just minimize that down as share, then I believe that will be more effective. Because one thing I do agree with a lot of the people is that because of our situation, we have to always like profess what we're doing. But if we can profess that on some form of like Morse code, where we use just one word, right, and the people understand that one word, that would be more effective for us to maneuver.
I agree, and I'm not going to say disagree, but I agree with that, and it comes in a dual part. And what I mean by that is, in the current form, there are many things that could be easy to sabotage and destroy because the way how things set themselves up, right? because we haven't got a foundation. So the claims of other people can really undermine what we're doing, and people can make assertions, and people take those assertions true. But what I would say is one of the goals I am definitely trying to highlight and teach to the collective family is, if every person wants to do something, there's nothing someone else can do about it. So if we had a mass way of thinking where we wanted to look in, we wanted to work on self and this kind of stuff, no one else can do anything. And that is one of the lessons I'm trying to teach, that it doesn't matter a person's other opinion. Once you get on code, once you're synchronized, you do for yourself. All you have to do is look at certain communities who practice really well. They don't care what what other people think, because they've got it going for them. This is part of their culture. They're going to do it, and they don't need to do any kind of Morse code because they only deal with themselves. There's no one around for them to even have an opinion. But we're trying to build to that kind of reality.
But Brother Raven, what due respect to you, right, is that the other communities hasn't really been worked on the way we've been worked on.
No,
and
true.
I agree with you. Like, we should definitely use how it was in ancient times and apply it to the people now. If we're going to use like the non-Africans, like for example, I hear it all the time, brother, no disrespect to you, we need to, the Asians are united, the Middle Easterns are the Europeans. That is true. However, in that they haven't been worked on.
No.
We have literally, as you know very well, right, been disintegrated away from each other as it pertains to a mindset. So having short things, brother, is more effective, because what I've noticed, when we keep telling people what we're doing, with the exception of you, I understand what you have to do in that, because it is lifestyle, with the exception of, but I've noticed, like, we keep announcing what we're doing and stuff, right? This is not smart when it comes to political science. The art of all war is deception. Nobody's going to profess what they're going to do, even the non-Africans. Everything is deceptive. So we have to combat that. And, the way forward to that, brother, from what I can see strategically, is using one words, like teaching us this one word means all that, right? So instead of us like talking about a paragraph, right, with the exception of you, brother, that paragraph, we learned that already. So that paragraph typifies one word, because we keep getting taken out, brother, man. I mean, whenever we try and work on something or try and do something, there's too much paragraphs in what we're doing, unfortunately, so we do need like a Morse code, bro, man, like to kind of limit, so we can practice deception, you know what I mean? We could be the artists of deception, man, as it pertains to our liberation.
Can I ask some questions on that?
Oh, go ahead.
So what is the main goal with that? Is that so you say eliminate paragraphs? Is that so people don't understand what the root is or what the aim is outside of the group?
I'll give examples, this, right? And I think, you and Brother Raven was saying it. Brother Raven just mentioned a while ago, right? I noticed that when the non-Africans, like the Asians, when they're going to do something, right, they just do it. Do you understand what I'm saying? And that, like, no one's going to like try and sabotage it. They just kind of do it. You know what I mean? Like, if they're going to build something, it's not announced as much because they have that code, right? But because we're not there yet, because of our mental illness, unfortunately, we need something where we can gather the people with one word, because we have to be very descriptive of what we're doing, unfortunately, because we mistrust one another. So if we can limit that, paragraphs and just keep it one word, right, that is more effective, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it does. You're right. You're 100% right. And I think the sorry for interrupting, but from the last episodes that we had, speaking with the IC3 as well about the codes, is that we need to walk as a unit more, because the Asians are doing it, all the others are doing it. They're working around as units, and they just show signs. Whites, they show signs to to get their what you call it, to get their word out. They don't even need to say the words. It's all body language. That's why I'm saying to you, most of the things that you're saying is not from your mouth. You understand? It's 20%. The rest 80% is your body language.
Okay. So give me 3 scenarios where you'd use this code.
So, for instance, if we are organizing something, or if we're just, having a chat with a friend that is, of the same color or code as we are, we then can, instead of, using, normal phrases, we can use something like, Kale was saying, using maybe just one word, to make your statement more clearer for the person, just by saying a word or doing a gesture or doing a sign or doing something, that nobody can actually identify, but only us. We need to find that. We need to be more subliminal as well. We need to.
Okay, so it seems like you're going in sync with Raven because he's got the 3P, right? So he says that anytime this scenario comes up, he thinks of 3P and instantly he goes to, okay, for this situation, this is happening currently.
Boom. Perfect. That's a code. That's a code. That's military thinking. Is actually how a military person thinks. Like when he's in the ground, military person, like who's speaking, when he's on the ground, and he's observing certain things and they walking around, one person has to identify where that person is. If they look forward, they say 12 o'clock. Or if they look backwards, they say 6 o'clock or 3 o'clock or 9 o'clock. To identify where that person is. So if you're 10 people, it's easier for you to say 10 o'clock and everybody moves 10 o'clock. Then, somebody says left, right. You understand? It makes it more synchronized, more, directed. You understand? The things that we want to say becomes more directed, which is, something that we need to have, a skill that I think we lack.
Let me just ask one more question there and then I'll let everyone else come in. But what if there was 2 black people in a seminar and one black person used this code because they feel uncomfortable in this scenario, which is, I think this is what you're kind of
referring to. Yeah, exactly.
And the other black man gets it straight away. What in that scenario if the white person says, now, what are you talking about? What does that mean? Because they always want to know about us.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, just laugh. Just say, it's just a friend of mine, Yeah. Just say, I'm telling you. That's what they do. They do the same thing.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah. Well, he's just, playing around. We're just playing around. That's the thing. We need to make.
But I understand what you're saying, brothers, and sounds great.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that to fill in the gaps, maybe if people,
Definitely. One thing I'm saying is one thing that is overlooked is when you generally connect with brothers and sisters in the community, whatever, take their details, hook with them on your social network, and just build on that level. Because technically, if 20 people who know each other want to do something, it will get done because we know each other and we're contacted directly. Where the issue at is to reach out. Like in order to find those 20 brothers and sisters, you have to do certain activities that put you out there. You have to announce to the world, I want to fix something. So with me, the announcement was Black Bam and the lifestyle, and obviously we had a whole lot of sabotage and funny behavior. But at the same token, you also came brothers and sisters who were constructive, and with those you connect. And then you move to the next chapter of them, and then you're slowly building a constructive collective to do particular things that you can contact directly.
Yeah, that's a perfect strategy, bro. Perfect.
Yeah, everyone has to apply the filtering system because what you're going to come across is there's many brown sisters in the community, but because of past traumas or what they're going through, they might not be the best people to build with. And once again, how I describe that is I do pro bonos. I will help them, blah, blah, blah. But to a bigger form of building institutions or highly funded projects, whatever. Not so much, probably not. No, you really, in order to really do something like that, you need to really be synchronized on your values and where you're trying to go. It's very important, but it's a slow process, but it is an important process. As you'll see, that shows like this will be, it's like, because we've got one particular goal generally, we seem to understand how to get there and talk about it. Well, if you go on other platforms, you might get 6 hours of just arguing about, the color of the moon or whatever they're arguing about at the time, right? And what I'm saying is, I guess that might be some form of entertainment, but if you're trying to do something, we have to put the entertainment to the side and actually have goals and actually have things we're trying to do. Right.
Most definitely has to be tangible. You're right.
That also that once we teach our code of conduct to the young ones, right, then we should take them in the field so they can see what it's like with the narcissistic behavior. I think a lot of us parents we shield our kids, I don't want them to face that yet, but we are in a political warfare, right? So once you've taught the younglings how to arm themselves up mentally with blueprints, then you must, put them in the battlefield so they can see when the non-Africans are practicing their unethical code of conduct. Take them to certain areas as long as you've got protection, and then you can see, tick that list. Did you see what they did there? Oh, tick that. Did you see what they did there? You know what I mean? And then, once that's kind of formulated, it will help them to, it will wean them into be relaxed when they see the unethical code of conduct with the face expression, the mannerism, the body language, and the characteristics, what they ascribe themselves to. And, then you can help them to understand that whenever they're becoming emotional, you have disengaged their unethical code of conduct. So, we need to do these things, brother, man, like bring them in the battlefield, man.
Well, I think public debates and I think what we could potentially do is literally go on live streams and maybe less so public debates now, but the live streams where these things are going on, and obviously then edit and review those live streams to demonstrate what is happening and how a solution was found or what was learned from it. I think that could be
definitely, brother. Most definitely.
And that's why I'm asking, Brother Cal, if you, because I haven't really seen you in the battlefield yet when it comes to the opposition, and it'd be good to see how you deal with some of the questions and non-questions that are thrown towards your way. It'd be interesting, and but also family out there as well. If you're a brother or sister, Black, African, Nubian, all the names you want to throw out there. If you're within the family group. And you are finding yourself being manipulated or bullied, through narcissistic behaviors, uncoded behaviors, what it might be. Let us know. Let us know where you're going so we can review it. We can jump on. It is most unfortunate if there are people out there who actually want to publicly do work, but they've been bullied into not doing that. And it would be good for me to review that and talk to them. It is a very interesting thing because I know it happens because I get obviously behind the scenes, but the brother and sister who is scared to do community work because of demonization from another group they're connected to, who isn't Black, who isn't African, who isn't, of our culture or whatever. It's very interesting that. But once again, the reason why Black people are in a wretched condition is because it was a lifetime of this culture being played. This, this prevent progress protocol, P3. You see, so it'll be interesting to, to do. Are you a person out there? We are technically almost at the end of our show now. If everyone wants to talk about anything else, we can. If anyone wants to jump in and give any testimonies about whatever, feel free. I'll throw it in there. Can I find the link there? Can I? Where is that link? I might go rid of it.
Could we, brother, discuss what's going on in Ukraine and to help our people understand political science. Now, I know it may be controversial, I understand, due to the podcast. But what's going on in Ukraine, brother, is very valuable for us to understand how it pertains to our reality and how we can organize ourselves. If not, then we can leave it. But
No, well,
yeah,
I would say definitely. Yeah, I would say unfortunately you missed a great case study that Empress Kushti does. But by all means, we can
really,
review. Yeah. Emperor started off the show earlier. But what we can do, if you like, if I just press play for a minute, this is how far we got in the video of what was going on.
2014, Crimeans voted to become a part of Russia. Was this vote legitimate? Well, it depends on who you ask. For Putin, this was Crimea's liberation. For the rest of the world, this was Crimea's annexation. The focus then shifted to eastern Ukraine, where Russia-backed separatists had seized territory. Ukrainian forces did not launch an all-out offensive at first, but on the 17th of July 2014, when a flight carrying 298 people was shot down by these rebels, Ukrainian forces decided to flush out the rebels. The separatists began losing ground, so the Russian army stepped in. They invaded eastern Ukraine and fought alongside the rebels. What followed was a series of talks between Russia, Ukraine, and the West.
Welcome, Richard D. Is it your first time, or have you been before?
Yes, Ricardo D. Yeah, so it's my first time on this show. Somebody put it in one. Sorry to cut you. Yeah, go ahead.
No, we're saying welcome. It's Ricardo. Looks like Ricardo D, right?
Welcome, Ricardo D. Yeah, thank you, man. Someone put it in one of the groups I'm in. So I've been listening for a while to hear about is it narcissism you're talking about? Yeah. So yeah, I hear what you're saying. You know, there's a lot of things you covered, even about that show as well. What I found a bit, what's the word? There wasn't enough representation, I say, because it was just like a certain age range as well, you know, and what the media tends to do, because I don't want to say, but I work in it, so I've been in the industry a long time. Yeah, so a lot of these things, what they put out there is a very narrative thing. So they will do certain things to kind of edit it down in a way so we're not getting the full vision of everything as well. So this happens all the time, you know. And yeah, the way everything is, it's been very manipulative, you know, because I'm studying at the moment about common law and stuff like that as well. So I'm getting to understand and understand what is going on, you know, because many of us, we've been indoctrinated and taught in a certain way from our schooling. You know, it's not our parents' fault, but this is what's happened to us. We've been put into a cycle, and they've been basically filtering us all through this cycle. And, you know, it's sad because many of us are lost, you know, many of us. I've been doing a lot of digging, diving deep, you know, going into so many communities, seeing what's going on in the community as well. And, you know, there's never a true representation for us as a people. You know, because they got us, sorry to go off the subject, they got us in a way where they're using spells and magic words on us on a daily basis. Number one, we use the word black. We don't be lack, you know, we don't lack. So all of this stuff, what we use upon ourselves is these magic spells. So we shouldn't even identify ourselves as black, number one, because there's no black land, there's no black nation, you know. So why do we identify ourselves as this? And this is how we get caught many times, because in law, when we use that name, when we say we are a black person or black human, it doesn't exist. So this is how they're able to entrap us in certain ways. But it's not our fault, it's not our fault. Unfortunately, this is how they've designed society. They've designed it like this on purpose, so we can't find a way out. Now, there's many elders out there who have the knowledge, who are out there to help us. But at the same time, we are our own worst enemy. And this is how it falls, because many of us, we come against each other. Look at us, we come from a continent. How many languages do we have in that continent? So that's a big thing. Then also, how many tribes do we have in that continent? Where we can't even get along. We go to religions, all different religions are going on. So again, there's another downfall. So it's built upon so many elements,
right?
What's going on. And this is how we can never gel together, because people will say, oh, I'm a faith of this, I'm a faith of that, I believe in this, I believe in that. So when you do that, there's already divide and conquer within our community already. So we can't even get together to come as one. When the Almighty Creator knows that we are meant to come back, but it's almost, I know for a fact there's a curse upon our race.
Right.
And this is why we stay divided. Because we can never come together and say, hang on, let's put all those things in the past behind us now. Let's move forward. Yeah, let's come together and let's get everything working. Because other communities out there, they're doing this.
But
they come.
You dropped some stuff there. So do you so the word black is a spell. Would you say it's a spell?
Yeah, of course.
Now, do you believe that you can actually cast new spells upon that? Meaning, have you heard of the spell of synonym? Have you heard that spell?
I've heard of it, but I haven't looked into that.
Yeah.
Synonym.
Google it, right? It's SYNONYM. I'll put it in there, right?
Yeah.
This is a spell I want to give you guys. It's a spell that I'll be casting. And what this spell is, it's the ability to see one word but see another. So, for example, if you want to be called African, if you put a star next to African and put a star next to black, which you see here, technically it means the same thing. This is a magic spell that Black Bearman's going to give it all the world. This way, rather than us sitting down pondering about why we're not together in unity of words, we can understand that certain words mean the same thing depending on who's in control of the language. So whether you want to be called Negro, Blackamoor, Black, Human, if as long as you put a star next to it as it pertains to Black Bearman, it's the same thing. It's the same thing. And knowing so that's important. Because this transcends, this might even go further than us, because technically we're talking to each other in what is known as the English language, apparently. But
that's right, 100.
Someone might speak to us in another language where there is not such thing as black or human, and they'll go, okay, well, my word for that is, and they'll give it, and we'll go, okay, that's the case. We're going to put a start in that. So you know that when you say that word and we say these words, we're talking about the same thing. Now, depending if we're going for law, because when you say law, some people, what they do is they look at ancient documents and they say, well, technically, we were called Negro by law. So if I want to get reparations, I want to get reparations for the people who you call Negroes. You see? So there's all these techniques people are trying to do, even though they might not like the name Negro, they understand that we were once called it, so we can put a star next to that, meaning this is a synonym of black, a synonym of human, and a synonym of Akubalan, all the good names that represent our collective group. There's a prayer push forward that once we come together in unity finally, we might do away with all names and make some brand new up that represents where we are at the time. Who knows? But what I'm saying is, also, a thing that might be helpful, might not be, you have to decide in your mind, is when you realize that the masses don't come together, if you look at how other people groups operate, what you will notice is that many of them have a smaller number who are more synchronized with each other, who actually do most of the heavy work, and then that bleeds down as like a ripple effect, to the masses, right? So the idea is, if we come together, for example, someone somewhere made a film about Godfather, right? And people saw Godfather, and for some reason, when rappers wanted to rap, they named themselves after Italian gangsters, not because they did any history of Italian gangsters, but because they watched films, right? So if we have a black or a human or an African media company, and we make constructive content or just black focused content, African focused content, we know that when people are being influenced, if they see people look at them doing powerful things, they're going to take that. And these are the trickle effects of being black centered or African centered. Any word we want to talk, the magic star, the synonym, let's say that word again.
Synonym.
There you go. That word. So the idea is, how do we become that word centered, human centered? You see, that's what we're preaching there, brother. Just
yeah, man. No, I get what you're saying. Yeah, you're 100%. Where you're going with that is you're on point. You are.
Thank you. Now, what we're asking the family is, this show we were studying the Ukrainian crisis to see if there's anything the family can learn from it, and then also we're talking about, as you mentioned, the narcissistic. And what I'm inviting people for next week's show, maybe future shows, if you go for your time, if you're noticing any of these kind of behavioral patterns where you're trying to do constructive things and people outside the community are being narcissistic or undermining you, or as Brother Cal says, almost being a ringleader and controlling people within your group to work against their best interest. It'll be good to hear people's testimonies and how they deal with it, if they deal with it at all, and then also study and tell people how we deal with it, and maybe give some examples. That'll be fun.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I got an example.
Go ahead.
Myself, there's something I'm going through pretty much at the moment. It's someone in our community, so. There's very narcissistic behaviors going on. This is regarding like me doing business. So, this individual is trying to control everything, and it's all their way or no way, So it does go deep sometimes, because there's even people in our community who use certain things against ourselves, to control situations, and they use certain phrases and words to kind of almost manipulating you in sidetracking you off of what we're meant to be doing, and then it's all becomes about them, so it is deep. I don't know what else I can say from that, but that's what I've experienced. And
So bro, so what you're saying is you're in business obviously you don't want to give things away with it, but you're in business at the moment, and someone is making you do something you don't want to do, trying to make you. Is that am I halfway there?
Yeah. What's happened along my journey with this business? So certain things have happened, and it's almost that person has got no interest of listening to me as a partner in it and taking my view or anything in that whatsoever. It's all about them and their vision, we came together and done this as a collective, but it's almost like we've been kind of pushed out in a way, and sadly, there's been a lot of time, effort, and finance into this. So,
how many
these are the
people
problems.
are in the business, if I may ask, first?
There's in total 6 of us.
Okay, and there's one individual doing this.
One individual, and the kind of family member is kind of like partially, doing things, but I don't really know what they're doing. But I know the main person is the main instigator of everything, So it's all about trying to get you around on their side and sweet talk you, and then it's almost like they had an agenda, and then also execute it, and then kind of you're not getting anything from it and doing certain things. The business is doing well, what I can see, but there's nothing being given back in regards of financing, anything with regards to how the business is doing, So I've had
Establishing
meetings with this person, asked them time and time again to bring everything to the table, and it's always like trying to skip around the whole thing. So, you know, it's this, and this is why there's always an issue what we have in our community regarding trust, because you can see it through history.
Yeah,
And it's not everyone, but it's happened to multiple people who I know, you know, and they've told me similar examples what's happened to them, and it's people in our own community who sabotage this.
So brother Ricardo, just are you saying, because just to understand, in the business you were you with another fellow Nubian? You were with okay, so that Nubian was doing something that you will probably describe as prevent progress protocol. It was something that is, all right, okay.
Yeah, so you know, I've come from the background of doing something very similar before in the past, where you know it didn't go well with that person. They wasn't in the community, and then I thought, okay, let me try again with someone in the community who's got that mindset, who's knowledgeable, who's, you know, they know everything about our history, everything like that, you know, regarding, you know, spirituality, all of it. And then, you know, to see this happen and you're like, wow, okay, this just goes deep.
Did you establish roles within the six of you?
Yeah. There's roles established. You know, there's two other people who are not from our community, you know, and one of them is still in it. The other person's kind of just left it and kind of left their little percentage in it now, because they kind of see what's going on with it. And
so kind of just half one foot in, one foot out.
Yeah. So, you know, it's disheartening when these things happen in your community, because I'm a person who wants to work with the community in a very big way, you know, because all of us don't have the piece all in the one person, you know, we all got a piece of the puzzle to put together and make this work, you know. We are all a conscious collective. So the way I see it is, if I'm going to link with my fellow Nubian brother and we're going to do business and we're going to make it big, you know, I'm trying to do it so where we're doing it in that country, we're employing people from the local area as well. We're giving them work, jobs and all of that. So we're trying to envision the local people and show from where we're doing it over there to back here that what we're doing to grow it as a community-based business, where it becomes more like we're family, you know, because of the bloodline. So that's the way I'm seeing it. And we're trying to help people in health. So it is.
Can I ask you just like two quick little questions?
Yeah.
Are you fed up with it? Are you 1 foot in, 1 foot out, or do you really want to salvage this?
I want to salvage it, but I feel that person is got too much narcissistic behaviors.
And it's just one individual, right? Is that individual black or human?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what are the things that you've done to kind of solve the issue with him?
So I've got one of my relatives to step in to kind of help the situation, to go and speak on my behalf as well, because the individual is not listening to what I have to say anymore. And when I'm talking to them, I sit down, we have a meeting, they totally disregard the whole conversation. They'll be going off the track onto something else, even though I've come there prepared to talk to them and stating all the facts and everything, what I want to talk about. They kind of just always bend the conversation to suit their needs, you know, and this has happened many times, you know, and I'm just like, why are you doing this, you know?
So many times you've tried to approach him. Have you both got equal equity in the business? Is it equal all the way around?
He's got more of a percentage because he's the main director.
Mhm.
You know, so yeah, it's very a challenging issue what I've
Yeah,
been trying
and
to deal with.
frustrating. I could imagine
You
as
know,
well.
and
Yeah. And is it only
yeah,
you that feel that way, or does the other
no,
feel
it's
that
not
way?
just me. It's not just me. The other individual who's got who's sold most of his shares in the business. He said, you know what, just walk away and do your own thing because it's not gonna make any money. It's taking too long and everything. But I'm like, there is money being made because they're selling. They've got the
Yeah.
website. There's money being made. I've seen the stock with my own eyes. As I'm in the group where people are telling they're gonna buy and all of this, and I see the people purchasing. So it's like, okay, he's trying to manipulate us and say, oh well, there's no money being made because we're reinvesting the money and all this. I'm like, okay, but why have you not told us exactly how much you've made, the profit or gross profit, net profit, what's our losses? There's not really much losses because everything comes from the land. We've
But
planted
did you
all of
not
this.
set up something in place that maybe every month or every quota or every quarter that you
Yeah,
could show this?
that yeah, that was what was set out. Where there's
But
meant to
he's not
be
honoured that.
monthly update. Yeah, it's not being honored. So
Okay.
all of this has been set out so it goes like that monthly. We're meant to have meetings as well. Like every month, just to know where we are and what's going on with the progress of the business. Nothing, nothing has happened. So he's kind of just leaving it and he's trying to sidetrack us. You'll come to me 1 minute and say, yeah, 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 I'm gonna come and talk to you. No conversation. I'll ring him, nothing.
It's just
It's
Ricardo,
brushing
just
you
like,
off.
yeah,
Ricardo, what
yeah.
just from your own standpoint, why do you think your business partner is doing this? From your standpoint,
Um, from my standpoint, from the get-go, I believe he had an alternative motive. If that's how it feels to me. And it seems to me in my eyes, like almost he wanted us to invest into this, our time and our effort and our finances, and then almost like he's got the revenue now from us and also an investor as well who's from the community as well, and then done his thing and basically making his money and not giving us any profits from it. And
do
you
you think
know,
this is something that he planned beforehand, or changed his mind after profits came in?
yeah, I believe he's probably planned this well beforehand.
And
What we were trying to do.
how long have you known this individual before you became like
It was an old work colleague
right?
I worked with for a number of years beforehand. So the trust was there and everything was there. Um, but he is one of these characters who can be very like, yeah, yeah, he like good with you. And then, a lot of people have warned me and said, no, you shouldn't trust him 100%, you know. And because we've been on the journey, it's like we've been through things on knowledge about our history and about the ancestry, about spirituality, a lot of things we've been through, and when you go through that and you think, hang on, this person, yeah, they're on the same vibe as me, they're on the same frequency, the same energy, and then they go do that, you just think, wow,
Let, let me let
okay.
me let me jump in, and the reason, because this is, I haven't yet done a proper show on. I'm not saying that what you've gone through is related, but I'm gonna segue it to what I presume could be similar, and that
Mhm,
is what happens is in our community we realize that there's a certain pain coming from outside the community, and
mhm,
also within the community at a certain point. But there's this pain, and then what happens? You come across people who speak, and they reveal you to truth. They reveal you to a new kind of truth, or a truth that works better in your kind of people group. And then that
mhm,
endorphins release in the head, and there's a camaraderie, and there's like a bonding that this person has opened the world to me this knowledge, and there's a bond there, right? But
Yeah.
also one of the values, and I'm going to go to it's very important. I'm not saying this is connected to you, brother. I'm just using you as a case study. One of the things that is a word known as discernment, you see, and discernment is because it's like the ability to notice the fine point details, the ability to judge something well, or the ability to understand, comprehend something. And sometimes within our community, not a lot, but there's quite a few of brothers who are blessed with knowledge or this kind of stuff. And because they present the knowledge in a certain way, people will follow them blindly. But actually, we need to have a set of protocols and things we ask of all people when we have to give them money. They give them money and time. You have to really be careful because, like I said, if a person says they're a banana tree, they have to give you banana. If they give you apple, be wary. If they give you nothing, be even more wary, right? So it's that kind of stuff. So, but once again, I'm not saying your situation because we don't know it, but how I try to make that relatable to other people is in the community. There is this fear of this, because essentially it could be a form of a scam. Not that this isn't a scam, but if you put money in and you don't get something back, and money's generated and you lose money, and someone's making money, it could be interpreted as a scam. And there is a history in some areas where brothers who have knowledge end up scamming the community, and that really does damage the image of people who try to be constructive and give knowledge.
Brother, the narcissist goes the other way. It's like I was saying before. I have one of my relatives who got a business, right? And and the thing is, brother, is that this is why unethical code of conduct is for real. There are some non-Africans that want to work in that institution, and my relatives don't want them in there, but they can use the Discrimination Act, which is in the process now. I can get them in there now. I understand how people do these things, and we do need a blueprint. But here's the thing, though: why is it that there are non-Africans who have taken from us globally, brother? They have their own businesses, their own communities, but still want to go into our institution when they don't need to. And for me, that is more emphasis on the true narcissism when it comes to the non-African people. I understand how people do, and it's because we've been taught by the non-Africans to do these things. But yet still we always have to focus on why do non-African people who benefit from our oppression still want to come into our institution when we only have a little crumb. They won't even let us have a little crumb to benefit. And that's the true narcissism, for due respect.
It's deep.
I just want to check. Did you say that the person front facing, he shows a face of pro-black and about that betterment and building?
100% they do.
Are they known in the community of doing this? Are they a well-known person?
They're not well known in the community. They're not well known, but the whole thing was about helping people, and people who are sick, getting them back to health. So it's the thing. What we're doing is very deep. It's in the Caribbean where we've got the land. It's growing on 8 acres of land. We're growing this, so we're helping people in the community. We got jobs from us. They're looking after the farm. But it's just sad when it gets to a point where your own people is like almost there.
I can see why you'd want to salvage that, because there's so much aspect to the business, which
That's it. And I want it to be a global entity. Of course. And I want to help many people.
Have you all tried to, as a group together, go to him and address the issue?
We haven't all together.
So that might be a point to do, because obviously it's not just you and him, it's a whole group, and you're not the only one feeling this way. You might have different reasons to why they're not comfortable with him, but you know,
Mm.
having a group meeting, and maybe you need to be that person in this group to kind of be that organizer. And
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure you've got your own role, but maybe you need to take a lead on some form of like more of a strategy and
Yeah.
you know, organizing and, you know, just saying things that, you know, I think we should establish monthly meetings. I can do notes, I can do targets and points we want to try and progress to. We could just start establishing a standard, like we all see the
Yeah.
profits. You know, you could be the person to offer spreadsheets, so you know you could pre-do that and then offer that in a meeting, so that person can see that you're actively trying to be a support, and you know,
Yeah.
just different aspects what you want to see. Maybe start implementing that and doing it
Yeah.
openly in front of the group, so there's not Chinese whispers. You know,
Mm.
everyone's
Yeah.
trying to do
Because
anything
that's,
like that.
well,
Perhaps,
that's,
yeah,
sorry, that's what I did do in the beginning. You see, I was organizing many things because, you
okay.
know, there's a network of people who I've got, and I was organizing meetings, things with promotion, you
Hmm.
know, things with certain sports people who I'm connected with, even certain actors and actresses, you know, and it's almost like the guy, he was trying to sabotage what I'm trying to do as well, because I don't have to tell anyone the connections I have, you know. I can just keep it silent. But I said no, for the, you know, what we're doing, I want these people to see what we're doing so they have an understanding and where we're trying to go with this, you know. And still, it was like he was still trying to sabotage it from the beginning. So I set up various meetings with a lot of people, influential people could do things to help this move forward. But at the same time, he's like, "Oh, I'm busy, you know. Yeah, I can't do rent. I'm not." I said, "Hang on, I've organized this 2 weeks in advance. You know, this is like 4 times I've done this, and
Wow.
it's almost like, what is going on? You
Just,
know?"
just to add to that, well done, Empress Christian, your advice as well. Uh,
Thank you,
what,
Brian.
was there like a set agreement of what was to happen when certain things happen, i.e., when two mangoes are sold or when whatever it might be, I receive £1 or I get an email or invoice? Because I'm just going to play European advocate for a minute.
Yeah,
Like, there were some people because of, I'm not saying
I like that.
yeah,
I'm not saying that this is your case, but what I'm saying is there were certain cases as it pertains to business in the music business stuff where
mhm,
someone fresh to the music business, they're with some other partner, and they didn't know how the publishing would be cut. So
yeah,
and so the expectations is this person's economy when actually it's just this person gets a higher cut because they're the producer role, your writing credit is split between 7 other writers, so you get a smaller piece.
yeah.
It's like not understanding, which could be a heart of it. Could that be the case where it's a more of a
Well,
misunderstanding rather than a scam?
um, well, everything's on paper. This is the thing. It's all been written out and contracted. It's all done on paper. So it's all been finalized, legalized. Everything has been, you know, set with Companies House here and also in the Caribbean. So all
Mm.
our names are on it. So, you know, this, yeah, it's just very frustrating when
You need to
the
have a meeting, bro.
individual.
Yeah,
Yeah,
recommend you.
I do. I've
Not
tried
alone
to
though.
do this.
Not alone. They're not alone though. If there are other
Yeah.
people involved and they've seen the same pattern, you need to
Mhm.
have that talk. Just and obviously a clear path, like what is going on and what needs to happen in order to
Mhm.
get the particular result you need. Uh,
Yeah,
but also, if you got contracts and it's in Companies House, then at a
yeah,
certain point, this could be a legal issue, right? At a certain point, right?
yeah,
Which
yeah.
is never a great option. But if a person is
No,
watching these, you want to deal before you get any kind of thought involved. You want to make sure you deal with your friend, man to man. Let them know.
yeah,
But yeah, but
yeah.
also manage your expectations because, like I said, sometimes like
Mhm.
has someone told you who spoke to him his opinion on this situation if he's aware of it at all?
Yeah, the other individual who's taken that, he's a lot of his shares out of the business completely. He's got only like probably a small percent now. He said he's just leaving it there as a like a kind of symbolism to say that, oh yeah, he was part of it. So he said, this, he spoke to him, and what he can gain from him is that it's not gonna go the way that he said it was from the beginning. He's got good ideas, but it's almost he's in his own world with it all. And I said, yeah, it's kind of true, because I've spoken to him a number of times and still he's adamant that he wants to go this way to make it happen, when I've already got the whole path what I've done before. So I've got the blueprint of how it works and how to get it there. But he's gone the long way around to do everything, and cost us a lot of extra things on top what we didn't need to do. So yeah.
Is it fair to say that this idea, he was a spearheader of it? He was the one who kind of brought it to the group. Am I wrong?
He did as well, but we all did in the beginning. We all started from the ground roots to get this to where it is today. So it was all of us. But him himself, I think he thought, oh, he could spend on this and spend on that and other things, and it's kind of like money has gone out the door when we're like, really, we didn't need to do all of that. And it's taken longer for the whole company to drive forward because of what he's been doing. And he always states, oh, I've done it for the benefit of the group. And I'm like, that's not right. We're meant to have a vote, and everything is meant to be voted upon first before we do any actions. But he just does it anyway. Right. So
yeah, he's undermining your authority and stuff. I would say this: is there anything he reckon he would want to make a company work in a way that he's tried to make it be right? So, for example, what is there that could happen? What connection? What kind of thing could happen to make this change from his standpoint? Do you think where he could come to go? Okay, now this is done. It's good. But what is needed to make the outcome in his favor, in your opinion?
In his favor, it's pretty much in his bull court anyway. So, he's driving it his way.
But what I'm saying is, I'm assuming he's not giving you certain kind of incentives or profits because something hasn't been reached yet, something hasn't been achieved yet. So what is it that he's trying to achieve? If he isn't scamming you, indeed, I hope he's not. Where, like, has he not made that sell yet? Is it like every 10 sales? Is it he needs a designer to do the new cover? Is it he needs?
Yeah, well, that's what well, with the whole branding and everything, it seems like they keep spending money on doing analyzing on the products. So with the whole what's in it, so they send it to the science labs for testing for the nutritional values and things like that. So they keep making more products. So by making more products, they're spending more than they're spending on whoever the designer is. I've got no idea who this is because they're not keeping me informed anymore with all of this, and just bringing up more and more products. But in the get-go, in the beginning, it was meant to be about one thing and focus on the one, and then you generate off of that one product, and then you can make the other products out of that in the end. But he wants to kind of jump into so many different products before the one product has actually made it out there around the world, but we had a big deal where we could have gone down with China, and they was willing to buy from us direct, and this would have been a big thing for us, but because of his intention and what he wanted to do, it never went that way because we wasn't ready, and because of the spending what he was doing, he was spending in too many other areas when the focal point was lost. So, when you speak to someone and you're trying to tell them, look, let's drive it that way first. You know, even if we have to sell to that part of the world to make the revenue, we need to do that first. Once that happens, then we can establish ourselves properly and then get what we need out of that to push it where we need to push it. But he wasn't really listening to us, you know, and that was the group as well. We were saying, let's do it like that. But
well, I'll recommend if you still have any kind of group, try to establish a sit down of all you guys to express, you know, your discomfort, and also if that goes well, then try to establish regular meeting points, you know, like weekly or every two, whatever it might be. Like I said, I don't know the business, but if you want any kind of business advice, I'm more than happy to sit in, give some at some point.
Okay.
I do a lot of pro bono work for up and coming companies, more so in Africa, to be honest.
Wow.
But if I don't know what the nature of your business is, but I suspect it will need the basics that most businesses have. So, but even if it's just one of the ones that you want to actually reconnect with this gentleman, I'm sure. But once again, I hope it's not a scam, because that would never be.
Yeah, no, it's not a scam as I see, because you know the land is there and there's videos being sent, you know, to show updates of what's going on. So I can see what's going on, but I can see what he's saying in certain videos. It seems like we are not involved, because the terminology what he's using is like it's just him and, you know, his family member, and that's it. Like, where's the rest of us? Like, we're not involved.
Is there certain, before we call, because we're gonna end soon? But I'll say before we do that, just to get more clarity, is there a actual day-to-day or week-to-week task that you guys are meant to do, or were you just well, not just, but were you investors in the company while he was the practitioner of the company?
It ended up being like that we were we become the shareholders in the company.
So you're not actually and that's where sometimes you might get confusion, because when you get the person who's actually doing like the day-to-day 9 to 5 stuff, and they're reacting, then they're going to do things, and sometimes as someone who's not in the place, you might not be able to fully comprehend what's actually going on. I'm not trying to defend this individual. I'm just saying that I have before with shareholders and practitioners, right?
Yeah, because, you know, in the beginning, from the get-go, I said to him, look, we should all be business partners. And he was adamant that no, we're not going to be business partners, because he said, because we can take the land. And I said, well, why don't you lease the land to the business and then we can't touch the land? But he was adamant and saying, no, because if you become business partners, you still can find a way of taking the land from me. And I was like, that's not my agenda.
Hold on, brother. So just to be clear, you were going to start a business with a gentleman who didn't trust you. Is that correct?
That's the kind of that's how he said it to me when I had when I had a meeting with himself on his own. After
investment,
after I've put money in, that's how he was clarifying it. And I was like, but that doesn't make no sense, because why would I want to take the land? It's going to be used for the business, so lease it to the business, and then we can't touch the land. That's what you do. But he was like, no. You know, it's been given from my family, and then this is going to me and my family member, and you know, that's when everything is on the land. You know, when he's like saying these things at the time. So, you know, it just became a bit where he was holding things off at one point as well, to try and not get us to sign agreements and contracts and all of that. He was trying to push it out as much as possible. And then in the end, that's when the group collective said, no, we need to do this. We need to, before it moves any further than this. So that's when we sat down and he's like, well, you're going to become shareholders. And I was like, but how's that going to work? You know? So, yeah, it's, you know, I'll go over this time and time again. And it's just to a point where not just that's happened, he's manipulated other things, what I haven't said, you know, regarding me and my missus. He made us break up as well. So he's done that because of his narcissistic ways. He has implanted things in my mind to make that happen. But I'm back with my missus now, and I've resolved them issues. But it was because of him is the reason why I broke up with my missus. So can you believe that? That's what he did. He got in between me and my missus as well, and he managed to break that family tree up and tried to, you know, mess me up.
I would say this, brother. From time your business partner you met in a work venture is able to make you question your love of your life or your wife or your girlfriend, this kind of thing, then obviously we need to review how you are practicing discernment around him and how much of your mind you're allowing him to infiltrate. You see, this is very important. Yeah, and brother, we're gonna end the show now, but we definitely want to come back to update. And like I said, if there's any way offline, are you in Sister Tasha's Discord group at all?
No, I'm not. If you give me the name, I can write it down, and then
I want I've got so many links flying around because I think you have to join the link. But if you come, this show is every follow this channel. I don't know if you on YouTube.
Yeah, I have. Yeah, right? I have. Yeah.
And what it is maybe Sister Tash in the future and other people can give you their network, and hopefully what we can do is we can introduce other people who might be able to help you in certain situations, and also maybe if it is a simple thing, we can get someone to sit in and negotiate if it isn't an overall scam, whatever. But what I'm saying is, it is a bit alarming that this individual's affected your personal life, as well as your financial business life. This is double dose. This is a very problematic thing, and it's something that we need to review, brother.
Yeah, brilliant. If you could help me, I would really, really appreciate that.
All right. Yeah. Well, brother, we'll chop up. This is our connection at the moment, but if Sister Tash comes in, we'll find a way to get on the same kind of network, and then we'll see what we're doing. Yeah.
Yeah, brilliant.
Right, so everyone, you're welcome, brother. It's good that you jumped on. Everyone, have their last words before we go. In the panel, your last words.
Yeah, bro. Next week will be great. God willing, that.
Yeah, great show. Sorry, I was away from. Great fight and show. It was really good topics, and thanks for allowing me to come and do my little bit at the beginning. And hopefully we can keep an eye on it if there's enough people interested in it and can understand the relevance of looking into it, then maybe we can keep this up as it progress. And that would be interesting as well. It doesn't have to be every week, but if we just make it a monthly segment or something like that, because it is developing a lot. And to Brother Ricardo, my last advice to you is to make sure that you have everything written down when communicating with the individual. So starting from now, you should not really ever be in the same room with him alone or be communicating with him verbally. You need to have evidence should it go down a different route.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much.
And any final thoughts, Brother Ricardo, before we end? There's your final thoughts?
I just love what you're doing, it's good to see there's a community out here doing this, and speaking about the topics, what's very important to us as a community. So it's good to get that information and knowledge out there and awareness as well of what's going on. I'm glad I could share this whole thing about what's happened with myself.
All right, brother. What we'll do is we'll treat it as an ongoing challenge, and you can keep us up to date, and hopefully we can help out in the future and maybe come to some kind of negotiation if it isn't a legit thing that's happening. But until then, see you back in next Friday, hopefully, and we'll see what we can do. Yeah, you have a good one, brother.
Yeah, and you too. Take care. Have a brilliant weekend.
You too, family. See ya.
Thank you. Take care.